You are an umpire.
Yes, ma'am.
He said, you guys were cheating. That's when I got upset.
He just grabbed me like this, and his fist was coming at me.
You can't put your hands on him.
But I did not throw a punch around him.
Well, then how did he get assaulted?
This is Judy Ball Coach Francisco Borges for lost wages and damages from an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Case number 3012, Green versus Baguez.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about junior baseball.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know a lot about it, but I do have one grandchild who plays that sport very well. Been to a couple of those games. I know how hot everybody gets. You, Mr. Green, according to what I read in your papers, are an umpire.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been doing that work for, I think, 15 years, is that what?
Approximately 15 years.
Tell me about the league that you umpire for.
I work for an organization, and I'm pretty much an independent person, but they call me and let me know what games I have, so it's up to me so I can take as many games as I want. I usually average about 10 games on the weekend. I usually only do it on the weekend. It's kind of...
Do you get paid for it?
Yes, I do.
How much do you get paid for umpiring a game?
It depends on the age division. So normally if you do anywhere from 9 to 12, you'll get...
9 to 12 years are the players.
That's the player. That's the player that's playing. So you'll get $56. And if you do the older children, that goes from 13 up to, I think we do up to 17, you get $61 a game.
Okay, nice supplemental income and have some fun when you're outside.
Yeah, that's my supplemental income.
Yeah.
I actually have a regular full-time job.
I assume you did.
Yeah.
And you have a team?
Correct. I managed the team. I've been managing high school baseball players for about 6 years now.
So you manage the 13 to 17-year-olds?
Correct.
And what's the name of your team?
The Bruins?
This particular game that's at issue today took place on what date, sir?
October the 16th of last year.
Now, Mr. Borges, on October 16th of 2022, what I'm gathering from the papers is that one or so of your players was over the age of 17.
Correct.
That you knew was against the rules. How many players were over 17?
So there was a total of 2 players that were over.
2.
So they weren't over 17.
Just
They were 17 at the time.
they were beyond the age where they were supposed to be
Correct.
playing. So you knew that that was against the rules.
Correct.
Just curious, clear that you knew it. You're giving me honest answers. Why'd you do that?
Because there's a stipulation that it goes on the way that the sanctioning body goes by. If they're in the grade level that is of the current year, they can still play. There is a limit of 1 player. I had 2. That is why we were.
Okay. So what you're saying is you didn't know about the second rule?
I knew about the second rule. I misinterpreted it. I thought we were allowed up to 3 players. Turns out that for this particular sanctioning body, there was only 1 allowed.
At some point during that game, something happened, because this case involves an assault. It is your claim, Mr. Green, that the defendant assaulted you and injured you.
Yeah.
And it was about the players who were playing against the rules from his team.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start with you, sir. You're on the field, you're doing your business. Somebody advises you that there's an issue. Who tells you that there's an issue?
So I went up to the director and asked him myself. There was some chatter in the stands saying, hey, you have 2 players.
There were some chatter where?
From the stands. So some of my
from the
parents-
stands?
Yeah, from the stands. So some of my parents asked me, hey, you might want to check that because the other team is saying that we're illegal players.
So there was already a kerfuffle because
Correct.
people who were watching the game, I assume that there were regulars watching this game. First of all, you have all the mothers, fathers, grandparents, siblings of all these players watching the game.
Correct.
And they just don't come out for one game. I know this from grandson Kobe. They come out for every game. And so I assume that everybody knows how old these players are because they've been following them. They all
Correct.
go to the same school. Okay. So there was chatter from the team that was opposing your Bruins that, hey, 2 of these players shouldn't be playing.
Correct.
They're too old. It's not fair. Had the game gotten underway yet?
It was in the bottom of the first, or the start of the first inning.
Okay, so you heard the kerfuffle that was starting in the stands. You figured the better part of valor was to go over and address the issue yourself with the director of the league?
Of the tournament director, correct.
Okay. How did you identify him there?
He's the one we check into at the beginning when we show up as a
Okay.
team. There's a booth where we check in.
So you went down to speak to the director. Did you hear any of this chatter?
Your Honor, the story that he's telling you is absolutely not true. How we found out, or they found out that the player was too old. The player actually played for the opposing team before, and the coach knew him. And I was standing there when the coach passed by him and spoke to him. And then the coach informed one of his parents that that kid that was the catcher was too old to be on the team. And they went and told the tournament director. He didn't go to the tournament director. He was on the field.
Okay, just a second. So your story, which actually is interesting and has more subtlety to it, so sounds more real. This older player used to play for the opposing team.
Yes, ma'am.
So the team members and that coach knew how old he was.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
They went over to the director to complain.
Went over to the director and told the director that he was using illegal players, that the players was too old. Then they checked the record to find out if it was true. They never went to the director. The director came on the field and stopped the game. He came to me and said, stop the game.
Okay, so the director came up to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And said, stop the game.
Stop the game.
And you're standing at home plate?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
See that?
You got that. You're right. I was standing at home.
Why do you look so amazed?
Because I was surprised that you would know about
that. I would know about home plate?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's home plate. I was standing at home plate.
They're not talking football here. Baseball, I know.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, okay.
So everybody sort of was around you. You had the director, you had yourself. Were any of the players there?
Yes, ma'am. They were still on the field. Everybody was still on the field.
Any players up at home plate?
Yeah, the player, the catcher, the one that was too old, and the batter. So he waited until the game started, because if he says anything before the game starts, then they would just take the players out. So he was waiting for the players to play. So
they would have to forfeit the game. That they would have to forfeit the game.
There you go. That's
got it. So now I'm getting the rules, because these rules I didn't know. So if the game hadn't started yet, and that one player was taken out before anything happened, then you would just take the player out and continue the game.
And continue.
But once the game starts with his illegal player, then their team had to forfeit the game.
Exactly. The other team.
So the other team, strategically, I assume, but the other team waited until the first ball was thrown or whatever, and then came out to complain or went to the director to complain that there was an illegal player.
Exactly.
And therefore the game had to be forfeited.
Exactly. So they lost the game.
Now it's got. So they lost the game before it started.
Right. They lost the game before it ended. So it was on a Sunday, and Sunday we call it elimination day. So if you lose on Sunday, you go home, and the other team that won go on to the next game. So obviously he didn't go to the next game because he was eliminated, but the other team did. So that's why the other team waited so they can go to the next game.
Now, Mr. Borges, I have to tell you, that sounds more reasonable to me.
And he's absolutely right.
Okay, good.
Other than the fact that I did go up to the tournament director myself, because at that point in time, they approved my roster, and I had an approved roster. So when I called the higher up of the tournament director, he said, if you guys leave the field, if you forfeit the game, I will refund you the tournament fee. If you do not, and it gets out of hand, then you will not get a refund. So I talked to my parents, I talked to my players, I explained to them the situation, and that was it. And we walked off the field.
Well, that didn't happen just that way.
That's exactly how it happened.
Well, then how did he get assaulted?
Calvin smirks. Caption coming up.
He just had this look in his eye, and he just grabbed me like this, and his fist was coming at me. And that's pretty much all I remember, because I could remember another fist coming over my shoulder, which I later found out that it was my son coming to my defense, because he just grabbed me.
Francisco grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Calvin and Francisco.
Calvin Green claims youth baseball coach Francisco Borges owes for lost wages and damages after Francisco assaulted him.
Now, his version of the events sounds much more plausible to me now that I know that you crafted your participation initially in a certain way, but that sounds right. Now I understand it. Okay, so now they're all out on the field.
So no, what happened next is that they actually left the field. He didn't say anything about the game, so they left.
So they left the field, and his team left.
And all of his players left the field. So what I did is I returned to what we call it the director's table, but it's like an easy-up setup. So I returned to the director's table where all the umpires usually hang out, because we do like 5 games a day. So in between games, we kind of go there and get our new scorecard, our new baseball, and everything that we need for our next game. So I was standing there just kind of talking with other umpires. My son Cam was there. He's an umpire also. And on his way out of the particular facility that we were in, the director's table is right there. Him and some of his parents, that's when they stopped by the director's table to ask the director about why they were disqualified, because they were saying that they knew that they were using illegal players. The director was saying, no, we didn't, because you never checked in with your roster. And so they started demanding a refund. And so we wasn't even involved in it. So they started demanding a refund. And so one of the moms.
How much money are we talking about? Just
I have no idea. You have to ask them.
How much money is the refund?
It's $8 per person. That's the refund that my parents were requesting. We weren't requesting a tournament fee because we had already squared that away with the tournament director.
You expected an $8 per person refund. Why? Because
the game didn't conclude, and we were the ones that stopped the game prior to this whole scenario.
Well, not actually. You didn't stop the game. Whatever. Aside from the $8 per person, what other fee is there?
There's a tournament fee.
Well, give me the amount.
It was $895.
Go ahead, sir.
He was asking for his money back. He didn't get a refund back because he was disqualified for the tournament. He got upset and said, well, I'll show you disqualified. I'll show you disqualified. And then he was coming around. The director, it's like table setup, 6-foot tables, and he was coming around the table in an angry manner. So all I did was step back and said, Coach, calm down. Your children are out here. Why you act like this in front of your children? He didn't say a word. He just had this look in his eye and he just grabbed me like this, and his fist was coming at me. And that's pretty much all I remember, because I could remember another fist coming over my shoulder, which I later found out that it was my son coming to my defense, because he just grabbed me. I mean, that's all I could say. He just pretty much grabbed me like this. And
could you stand up? Tell me your name, please.
Cameron Green.
Cameron, you were down with your father near the director's table.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what you saw. Your father took me up to a point, and I want you to start at the point where there was any contact between your father and the defendant.
Yes, as the defendant was charging after the tournament director, after verbally threatening him.
Was that person seated?
He was seated.
Yes, go ahead.
And as he got around a barricade of tables, me and my dad were there to stop him and calm him down.
Tell me exactly how you...
Literally just standing here. Obviously, you don't want to make contact with the person unneeded. So, like, literally just standing there, he had his hands up and said, hey, your kids are out here. And he just got, like, the midst of the deflection, because he was going to probably assault the tournament director, and said he assaulted my dad instead.
Well, tell me how he did that.
So after my dad told him to calm down because the kids were out there, he then grabbed my dad by his chest protector and lifted him up. And once he had did that, then I had to defend my dad.
Well, how did you do that?
By punching him.
How did your father end up unconscious?
So once again, he had him, and so he would grab my dad by his chest protector and shoves his fist in his face to basically threaten him. So I assume after I hit him, he probably just threw him down.
So he threw your father down?
Correct.
Were you hospitalized, sir? Were you...
I went to the doctor the next day. We went home after it all happened, and then the next day I woke up, I had all these like really bad pains in my face and stuff. So I went to the doctor, and the next day I went to urgent care on the 17th.
Do you have any pictures of
any
injuries?
Yes, I have the pictures and also the doctor's report.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
There's pictures of my injuries in the original doctor report when I first went to the doctor.
Calvin hands photos and a document to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Pretty bad black eye area, is that what you're showing? Did you file a police report, sir?
The facility, the director, they filed a police report.
Do you have a copy of that?
On the 18th.
Do you have a copy of that? Were you able to get a copy of the police report?
No, they gave it back to me.
Nothing. Okay. Was there a complaint filed by you with the police department, sir?
Yes, there was a complaint filed by me with the Riverside County Sheriff.
Were you ever contacted by the police?
I was.
Were you arrested?
No.
Did Mr. Green cause to be served on you an application for a protective order?
Correct.
And was there a hearing on that?
Yes, there was.
Did you testify?
Yes.
Did you have any witnesses?
No, I just had witness statements and the picture that I showed you.
Did you have any witnesses?
No.
What was the result of that hearing?
I was granted a restraining order for a year.
And was the story that you told to the court at that hearing consistent with what you've told me today?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. I actually have the transcript from that court case.
I'd like to take a look at it. I'm going to ask you the same question, Mr. Borges. Was the testimony you gave me today consistent with what you told the court on that day.
Absolutely.
You did, in fact, put your hands on the plaintiff.
Correct.
I'm actually going to go in a little bit further. How many parents were with you at the time you came to the director's chair?
There was a few. There was about 5 or 6 there. They were standing next to me.
Judy gestures for Cameron to rise.
Did you see the parents of Mr. Borges' team with him?
Yes.
How many were there?
At least 5 or 6 parents, and they all had their kids with them as well.
Now, when Mr. Borges, when you said came around the table and put his hands on your father, where were the parents?
They're behind him, and due to the progressive heating of the argument, everybody on his side was being very aggressive. That's why when he charged after the tournament director, no one cared to stop him. And after I had defended my dad, I was then jumped by about 5 of the parents.
Okay, so he was the first one who went around the table.
Correct.
The parents and the other players followed after him?
They were aggressive, but they stayed put, and after I had defended him, then that's when they got involved.
Now, when you say you defended your father, what did you do?
As he had my dad grabbed by his chest protector, I then punched him.
Punched the defendant?
The defendant, yes.
And after you punched the defendant, what happened?
I was then jumped by about 5 of the parents. So I saw 3 running at me and 1 running at me full speed. So I engaged with the first guy that was coming at me. And right there, I got tangled up, and then I was thrown to the floor immediately, and then jumped by about 5 parents.
Who broke it up?
Actually, a bystanding coach ran in about like 6 seconds into the jumping and picked me up off the ground and separated me from the crowd. I almost had it, though.
Then I got it. When I got up off the ground, I pulled one of the parents off of him. Because when I got up off the ground, I was...
Off of your son?
Off of my son. I was looking for my hearing aids and glasses, and then when I picked him up, I noticed 3 guys fighting my son. So I pulled the parent off of him, and then somebody else came around and punched me again. I couldn't see who that person was.
I got it.
Caption coming up.
You got punched because you put your hands on his father, and you're a big guy. How old are you, sir?
62.
How old are you?
38.
He's old enough to be your father. How dare you put your hands on him?
Francisco grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Calvin and Francisco.
Calvin Green has accused youth baseball coach Francisco Borges of assaulting him at a baseball tournament. Francisco claims Calvin's son punched him in the face.
So, Mr. Borges, I'm going to go one further from the judge who heard the application for an order of protection. It was a very limited hearing, and what the judge based his opinion on to give the plaintiff a protective order for a year, which merely says that you may not assault, menace, threaten, or harass him. Is he allowed to be at a game where you're umpiring?
No,
He's not allowed to have his team at a game where you're umpiring.
No, he's not allowed to be around. He's not allowed to be within 100 feet of me. We didn't put down the team because it was more about him and not the team.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, sir, that if your conduct precipitated a course of events where other people were injured, your conduct, you're responsible. I'm going to let you tell me your version of the events. You're out there. Now I heard their version of the events of that day. You're out there with 5 or 6 parents, and you're demanding that while you forfeited the game fee, which was over $800, it was your position that your players were entitled to their $8 a person back, which is why you went with the parents over to the director to ask for the $8 per person back for your players. That's what you told me.
No, that you asked me what the sum was. It was $8 a person of what it cost to get in. That's not what we were arguing about. So,
well, what were you arguing
about? Side of the story about? So as we were walking out, I was talking to the female tournament director. We had already got our situation squared away. There was a male tournament director who was sitting at his chair, and one of my parents approached him, and they were arguing back and forth. He made a comment, and he said, you guys shouldn't even get a refund back for your tournament fee because you guys were cheating. That's when I got upset because I had already squared away with his boss and the female tournament director that was on site. Okay.
So what did you do when you got upset?
I told him, do you even know what's going on? I've already explained that this whole situation has nothing to do with the team. She's asking for her $8 back because they just got here and they're not watching the game.
Oh, you mean their fee to get into the stadium?
Correct.
What were you involved with that for?
Exactly.
What were you involved with that for? They wanted their money back. How many games were going to be played that day?
It could have been, 3, 4, 5 games. But
Well, they could have sat and watched the rest of the 5 games.
yeah, they could have. At that point in time, the argument started with the tournament director. Mr. Green was coming over from the field, and he did see when we were arguing. He did get in front of me. He said, hey, man, relax. Your kid's around. My whole thing was the director was still talking back to me,
So what if he was talking back to you? The truth is he was saying the truth. That director was saying nothing that was untruthful. All this started because you put 2 illegal players on your team.
That they approved, Your Honor.
What?
They approved it. The sanctioning body approved my roster before I showed up.
I have to tell you something, sir. You've been doing this according to you for a long time, and you know all the rules. And you had 2 illegal players on your team. That's what happened. But you had no business going over there and getting them a refund for entrance to the park.
That's where you're wrong. I was not asking for a refund. The parents were.
So what were you involved for?
Because the director told them to come talk to me about it, okay? And I go, listen, it's your job to de-escalate. As a director, it's your responsibility to de-escalate the situation.
So what? I don't understand why you put your hands on him.
I grabbed him by the chest protector to move him out of the way, because my argument was with the tournament director. Did not involve Mr. Green at all.
You can't put your hands on him.
So at that point in time, that's when I got punched, and then I was pulled back by the parents.
Just a second. You got punched because you put your hands on his father aggressively, and you're a big guy, and you were aggressive. How old are you, sir?
62.
How old are you?
38.
He's old enough to be your father. How dare you put your hands on him? Okay. Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I just want to say one other thing, Your Honor, that this is mainly about him and other parents that come out to youth sports and behave badly. I want to send a message to him and all the other parents out there. When you come to support your kids. We're human, we make mistakes. We're out there for the same reason they are. It's not about the money. We're out there because we love the game and we love the kid. There's no place in baseball for violence, and he has to know that, and all the other parents have to know that. When you come, you're supposed to be there to support your kid, not harass the umpires or get into it with the directors. If you know you cheated, take your lumps and go home. But to assault
couldn't have said it better myself.
It's like, yeah, and that's why that's the message.
And I won't say it better myself. He's right. Right?
Yep.
Did you lose any work, sir, as a result?
I missed a month of work and I missed a month of umpiring.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested in your petition, $10,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Francisco, then Calvin.
I think it was a little unfair.
I think the judge made the right decision.
I never punched anybody, which that's the reason we were here.
The judge saw it right through the lie that he was trying to tell her.
Sanctioning body approved my roster, so that was on them.
From my understanding, he bypassed the director's table on Saturday. He didn't turn in his roster, so they didn't even know he had those players on his team.
I have no ill will against Mr. Green. Like I said, at the end of the day, I never punched him. I did touch his chest protector, but I never threw a punch.
Get the message out to the other parents that when you come to youth sporting events, you're not going to behave badly, and if you do, we're going to prosecute you to the limit of the law.
Sarah and Judy.
Plaintiff took the words right out of my mouth. A grand message that we usually have for people after the cases, and I almost liked it better coming from him, seeing firsthand how crazy some of these youth sports games have gotten. I usually see them secondhand on Twitter or clips on social media of outraged parents or siblings even of players absolutely losing their mind at these youth sports games. So he said it perfect, and all the parents should really listen up. It takes a certain type to really get so angry
that you get physical.
At someone like an umpire who's getting paid $60 a game. They're obviously not in it for the money. He has some heartfelt reason for wanting to be engaged.
Yeah, he had
in
a son.
Lives.
He had a son probably played.
Exactly, and they're not trying to make bad calls. They're trying to do the best they can, but everyone's got to keep their cool. It's baseball.
It's supposed to be a fun sport.
America's pastime.
Yeah.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv.
A car hits a parked vehicle.
When it was totaled, it was parked.
Yes, ma'am. And I had no idea what happened.
The guy in the blue BMW was like hitting me while I was merging, and then he goes into her parked car.
By the grace of God, that man wasn't killed.
This is Judy Justice. Suing driver Stephen Chicos for vehicle damage after her car was hit during an accident.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3014, Bailey versus Chicos.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Bailey, your car was totaled on what day?
On April the 4th?
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
When it was totaled, it was parked.
Yes, ma'am.
Approximately what time?
I believe my braces appointment is like around 9:40.
In the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
And when had you parked the car?
For my braces tightening, I was at the dentist.
Oh, you were at the dentist?
At the orthodontist, and I was getting my braces tightened. So I had just parked the car at the first meter that I seen available. And as I was getting they taking the wires out, they called me and said, "Hey, what kind of car do you drive?" I said, "An Audi." They said,
Okay, you came outside, and what did you see?
Big commotion. I seen a few cars were hit. I seen some people in tears. I seen my car. That's kind of all I cared about was my car. Someone had to catch me. I was kind of startled. I was like, how did this happen? I ended up seeing police coming towards me. They were like kind of already, I don't know if they were on the scene or they had just arrived when I got out there. And they were asking me questions of what happened. I had no idea what happened.
So you said I had no idea what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a police report?
They told me anything that involves a hit and run, anything that involves any type of collision is required of the parties.
The answer is you don't have a police report.
No.
Do you?
No.
Okay. So you don't know what happened?
No, ma'am.
From the time of the incident?
No, ma'am.
The defendant's car was involved in this accident.
Correct.
Because it had to be an accident. It wasn't done on purpose. And that's why you're suing him.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have collision on your car? It was all paid off?
It was all paid off, correct.
So I assume you kept your insurance down by not having collision?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. And now nobody wants to take responsibility, and you've got a parked car that's now totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why we're here.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were involved in this accident. Mr. Chicos?
Chicos, yes.
Okay. Where were you going?
Going to drop my girlfriend back off at home before I left for work.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Mazda 3.
Tell me what happened.
I looked over my right shoulder. I was getting ready to make a merge into the right-hand lane.
Okay,
and
so you're traveling in the left lane.
yes.
And how many lanes of traffic are there in your direction? So you were originally traveling in the faster lane on the left. For how long had you been traveling in the faster lane to the left?
Maybe half a mile, quarter mile.
And then you were merging over to make a right turn?
No, just merging over to get in the right-hand lane.
What were you moving over to get into the right-hand lane for?
Because when it gets to Beverly and Alvarado, a lot of cars are waiting to make a left-hand turn, which is about maybe a quarter mile from where the accident happened. So just in preparation, I got over so I wouldn't be stuck behind those cars in the light.
Okay, so you make this run all the time?
Correct.
I assume. Okay, so you're traveling along, you're not making a right turn, but you want to get into the right lane to avoid further up where people get into a left lane.
There's no left lane.
Where the people are making a left turn and there's usually a backup, so you wanted to avoid that and get over.
Correct.
Had the traffic started to slow down already?
No, not yet.
Okay, so you put on your blinker.
Correct.
And then what happened?
I looked over my right-hand shoulder. Behind me, to the right, way back, was a white car. And the blue, I think it was a BMW, the blue BMW was behind me in the fast lane.
Was behind you in the fast lane?
Correct.
Go ahead.
I looked over my right-hand shoulder, turned on my blinker, proceeded to merge lane. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I can look forward again because there's no one next to me. So I'm looking forward, and out of nowhere, the guy in the blue BMW cuts off that white car and tries to speed past me to pass me up, where it involves like hitting me while I was merging, and then he goes into her parked car.
So the BMW hit her car?
Correct. My car never made contact with hers.
Well, whether you made contact or not, that doesn't mean you're necessarily not at fault, which is, I assume, why I have this screen up here. So let me reiterate what I think your position is. You were dropping off girlfriend, and you're in the left lane, wanting to go into the right lane to avoid something that may come up in the future, since you were familiar with this road. You put on your blinker. All you see in your rear view mirror, looking to your right, is a white car, and you have plenty of time in order to merge over.
Correct.
So you start to go over, and a blue BMW that's behind you moves over faster to that lane, to merge over faster into that lane, hits you. The BMW hits her car, not your car.
Correct.
That's your position. Is that what I'm going to see on the video?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Footage of a blue BMW accelerating, then merging into the right-hand lane as a black car merges into the same lane. The vehicles collide, then the BMW crashes into a parked car.
Yeah, he's right. It's the BMW's fault.
Caption, coming up.
Their BMW driver is lucky he wasn't arrested for vehicular homicide. That was just by the grace of God that man in the little blue, it looks like a Volkswagen, wasn't killed.
And later today,
Your daughter was tragically killed in an automobile accident. She had 3 children. Her 3 children are now with you.
Correct.
Did they come to live with you immediately after her death?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Bonnie and Stephen.
Bonnie Bailey claims driver Stephen Chicos caused a car accident and owes for damage done to her vehicle.
He's right, it's the BMW's fault.
I talked to the BMW's insurance, and they said they weren't paying out because they said they weren't at fault for the accident and to go after.
Well, I'm telling you, you bring me the BMW, I'll give you your money. That's what it looks like to me. The BMW was clearly behind him. His car had already started to merge over and was halfway into the right lane when the BMW, watch it, see his car's moving over. The BMW came from behind him. Let's do it again. Absolutely right. You bring me the right person and you get your decision. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see how he could have avoided this accident. Take a look at it very, very closely. Let's do it one more time. He starts to move over. He's over already. The BMW cut off the white car. Is that what you see, Sarah?
I'm just thinking that person in the little blue car is the luckiest guy alive.
Right.
You see him standing outside his car?
No, I didn't.
You see him
Oh,
opening the
that
door?
one.
That
The
man
yeah.
almost gets absolutely obliterated
Oh,
by
my
that
God.
car.
You know, I didn't see
Sorry,
that.
little distraction, but that's what I was watching.
Just traveling much, much too fast, the blue BMW. Reckless. He almost got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you will return with that BMW owner, but I have no objection to signing a document that you might want to show the BMW's insurance carrier. Did you also try to sue the BMW?
I didn't try to sue. I was going through my insurance, and they told me to contact his insurance. I called them, and I told them I had another witness, too. And they're like, we weren't aware there was another witness. We knew that there was a video, and that was the last I heard of them. And then next thing I heard was she was taking me to court.
Why did you choose him instead of the BMW?
Well, I went after both of them. I looked at the video multiple times, and it just looked like he was more so at fault. But I did go after the BMW's insurance, and the insurance told me that they weren't going to pay out because, one, he had limited insurance, and it wouldn't cover the damages as to how much my vehicle had. And second of all, they told me that they seen that Stephen Psychos was at fault, and I had to go after him.
No. Their BMW driver is lucky he wasn't arrested for vehicular homicide. That was just by the grace of God that man in the little blue, it looks like a Volkswagen, wasn't killed. So you bring me the right person, I'm more than happy to give you a judgment. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. This case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Stephen, then Bonnie.
I've been watching her since I was a little kid, so I knew she was going to come out with the right decision.
Guess I gotta go after the right person, right?
It just came out of nowhere, the crash. I didn't even see him coming.
I see it as that both of their butts are at fault.
Let me go after that driver.
I guess I'll really try to go after the BMW's insurance much harder or take him to court.
In chambers, Judy with Sarah.
If I were this plaintiff, I would have sued both of them. I don't know which one of you was at fault, so I'm going to sue both of you. I know one thing. My car was parked, and I was getting my braces fixed. So it wasn't me. There was no question that BMW was speeding, driving recklessly. There was no way that the defendant could have avoided this mishap because he was just speeding so recklessly.
I think you gave her a good lesson. She seemed like the type that would take that advice and move on it. And so I think she would be in her best interest to
come back.
Come back.
And I would love to see him speeding down a street where he almost killed somebody.
We'll give him a good lesson.
Yes.
Kevin.
Case number 3013, Toole versus Messenger. All parties, please step forward.
Cheryl Toole is suing her former daughter-in-law, Ariel Messenger, for benefit money raised for her grandchildren.
Ms. Toole, this is your former daughter-in-law.
They were never married.
Okay. They were together for how long? Because you identify her in your complaint as my ex-daughter-in-law. And how long has Miss Messenger been separated from your son?
Probably 5, 6 years.
And in December of last year, you have a daughter. Your daughter was tragically killed in an automobile accident. She had 3 children. Her 3 children are now with you.
Correct.
Did they come to live with you immediately after her death? According to your complaint, the defendant was touched by this tragedy. You don't say that, but that's what it appears, and decided to hold a fundraiser for the 3 children. What kind of fundraiser did you decide to hold for the 3 children?
I did a spaghetti dinner.
Where?
At a bar that I work at.
Did the bar donate any part of their
space?
They donated their space?
Right. My boss allowed me to have it.
And tell me how it worked. People came for a spaghetti dinner. Dinner was so much, and anything over that dinner went to the fund for the children?
Correct. All of it went to the fund. They would come in if they wanted to purchase a meal. They would get a ticket. Then they would go and grab the meal. And we had bake sale, also had raffles and stuff like that.
So there was an entrance fee to get in?
Basically, yes.
Not basically. Was there an entrance fee to get in?
There was not. You paid for a spaghetti dinner.
And how much was that?
It was $15. You got it to go back.
Who provided the dinner is what I'm trying to...
I had people donate the food.
And that was the only fundraiser you had?
Correct.
This is what the case is about. Case is about the fact that, put your hand down, that she says $1,800 was raised at that dinner. You don't seem to deny that $1,800 was raised for the benefit of the children. The plaintiff has custody of the children. She says you should turn that money over to her. And your position is that I'm waiting for Social Security numbers for the children so that I can open up accounts for the children.
Correct.
Okay, that's your position.
Correct.
Okay. How much planning did you have to do for this dinner?
We served it.
Who set it up?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so if you're not sure, she says she set it up. So the defendant set it up. Did you have any conversation with the defendant prior to the event, which I assume you attended?
Yes, I did attend it.
For the whole thing?
I had to leave at 9 because I had to take the children out of the bar.
Okay. What time did it start?
7 or 8.
So you were there for an hour?
No, we were there. We had went and got where we were serving it set up too.
Oh, okay. So you were there until 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
During that time or before that time, did you ever have a conversation with Miss Messenger about what would happen to the funds that were collected?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Well, then, can you explain your position to me as to why you think she has to give you that money?
Caption coming up.
She ran the benefit for the benefit of the children, and what she's supposed to do is open up accounts for the benefit of the children. Did you go to the bank and say to the bank, I want to open up accounts for the benefit of the children?
Ariel lowers her eyes. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Cheryl and Ariel.
Cheryl Toole claims her former daughter-in-law, Ariel Messenger, is wrongfully keeping money raised for her grandchildren.
Can you explain your position to me as to why you think she has to give you that money?
Okay, first of all, the benefit, I had no idea until the day before the benefit. She did not ask me.
No, just a second.
Did not include me.
She doesn't have to.
Okay, but...
Okay, she doesn't have to ask you. She doesn't have to include you. It would be nice, but she doesn't have to ask you. She doesn't have to include you, okay? And what was the date of this event, by the way?
The 9th.
The 9th of?
December.
And when was the accident with your daughter?
December 3rd.
So it was relatively quickly after that?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to get back to why you think that you have a position, a legal position, where she has to turn that money over to you.
Okay, I have interim custody of the children. There is expenses. My daughter's apartment had to be emptied. I had to put her stuff in storage. I'm not physically able to be moving their belongings into our house that we just got for the 3 children and myself. I not only had to empty the apartment, get it in storage.
So what you're telling me is that you had expenses?
Yes, I have.
That's not a reason that she's got to give you money she raised for the benefit of the children.
But the benefit stated, there was a flyer put out for Brandy Hoteling to help her lay at rest and her 3 children. It never said about accounts. I have opened, when this happened and the kids come with me, I opened accounts for the kids. I went to my credit union to see if I could open accounts.
That's a good idea.
If I could open accounts that they couldn't touch, nobody could till they were 18. I couldn't because of them being minors. They had to go under my name, but they're in their own accounts. I have that on my phone that I can show you.
It's nice that you have accounts for them.
But I feel that if you're going to do a benefit, that's wonderful that you would do something like that. But do what you say you're going to do in the benefit.
That's what she says she wants to do. She said she needs the children's Social Security number so that she can open up an account. You can have accounts under Uniform Gift to Minors Act in every bank, in every financial institution that are in your name for the benefit of a child, which is what you can do. I know I have 13 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild, and I have accounts for all of them, okay? But I have a brother, and if my brother said, I want to open up accounts for your grandchildren, and I said to him, well, give me the money because I have the accounts already. He said, no, I want to be in charge of those accounts. It's what I want. I got the money, but I want it for the benefit of the children. And what I'm telling you is she can open up the accounts for the benefit of the children just as well as you can. Just because you have expenses, Ms. Toole, that's not what this benefit was for. In her mind, she ran the benefit, and you said you had nothing to do with it. She ran the benefit for the benefit of the children. And what she's supposed to do is open up accounts for the benefit of the children. Did you go to the bank and say to the bank, I want to open up accounts for the benefit of the children? And did the bank advise you that you needed any particular document?
Yes. That
What
I needed
document
some form of Social Security numbers, because again, I wanted to be the primary person to where she couldn't have access to it.
Okay. Where do you come from? What jurisdiction?
Toledo, Ohio.
And how did you get here today? By plane?
On a plane, yes.
And there was certain expenses and fees that you would be receiving for traveling to do your case here.
Correct.
We're going to hold those fees. And I see that I'm not going to get any cooperation from Ms. Toole, even though I've told her that she can give you the kid's Social Security number so that you can open up these accounts for the benefit of the children. That's her prerogative. But you can go to the bank and get savings bonds for the children, and you don't need their Social Security number.
Okay.
All you need are bonds in their name. What I'm telling you, Ms. Toole, if she had their Social Security number, that money would be growing interest. So at a certain point, they'll be able to cash in these bonds and have a little spending money when they either go away to college or start a job or are looking for an apartment or something. I assume that you get some sort of benefit for the children.
No, I do not yet.
Okay. Was their mother a working person?
Yes, she was.
Well, if she's a working person, and then the children are entitled to Social Security benefits. Was she a working person all of her life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, if she was a working person all of her life, she was entitled to Social Security. And if a person who was entitled to Social Security dies, children, minor children, are entitled to Social Security. Did anybody tell you that?
They did tell me that, but
Okay,
it's
so
in
why
the works of custody. They couldn't do it until that was established.
Well, no, they could do it.
That's what I was told.
Well,
and I went down there.
Who are you arguing with over custody?
Nobody. The fathers want them to stay together because they've been through enough tragedy. And so I'm not arguing with them.
Are the fathers contributing to their support?
The one said he has been, but it's just sitting there. He said, do you know what's going on? I said, everything's at a standstill till June 7th.
Oh, so it's going to be resolved relatively quickly?
Yes.
Okay, good. What I said to you is if she had their Social Security number, she could put it in an account that may bear some interest for them. If she does bonds, they have to wait until they're 21 years old. It's a relatively short period of time.
I can do bonds, that's fine.
You
I wasn't aware
can,
of...
I don't know if they're long enough.
Right.
What's your objection to giving her their Social Security number?
Because, for one thing, she's not financially stable. She has ran bills up on a family member.
Okay, so you would prefer that she buy a bond?
Yeah.
A 7-year bond?
But also, what about the help with the daughter? I mean, it's right there on the flyer.
You mean for your daughter who's deceased?
Yes.
She can't help her, Mrs. Toole. She can't help her.
So that was false on the
No, she
flyer?
can't help. She can't help her.
Right, right.
She can't help her.
Right.
And so her and the children. And if you're not going to allow her to have their Social Security number so she can put it in an account, she is going to buy U.S. bonds for the children in the children's names, and my clerk in the back will hold everything until we receive proof that those bonds have been purchased in the children's names. Hold on to them until the children are 18, and then you can give it to them.
Okay.
Because you can't cash them in anyway.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Cheryl, then Ariel.
It's awesome that somebody would want to take that opportunity to do that to help somebody.
I'm happy. They'll have their bonds and everything will be taken care of.
But when they don't use the fundraiser for what it said, I feel they're cheating the people that did it.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, the date, the timing of this was really super important. This tragedy occurred, and within 3 or 4 days, this event was put together. And it was put together, I'm sure, out of adrenaline. What can we do? And the flyer said it was for the benefit of her deceased daughter, which, of course, there can't be any benefit to the deceased daughter. The benefit has to be to the deceased daughter's memory through giving the kids an extra couple of bucks. And you're talking about really $550 or $600 for each of the 3 children. But at the point, that $600 will be important. So they'll have a bond, it'll mature into, I don't know, $800 in 5 years. Not the best way to invest money, but at least it keeps the peace.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to
You keep posting stuff about her.
She was going to expose nude photos of me. This is her saying that she wanted to fight me.
Leave her alone.
Okay, so
This is not a so, this is a period.
This is Judy. Haley Chapman is suing her husband's ex-girlfriend, Fallon Bigelow, for defamation, harassment, and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 3022, Chapman versus Bigelow.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Haley.
The husband isn't here.
no.
Where is he?
He is currently incarcerated, Your Honor,
Where?
in a state correctional institution in Florida.
When did he go into jail?
He was arrested in September of 2022.
Has he been incarcerated since?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 3 children with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
20.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are your children?
I actually have 4 in total. I have a 5-year-old who turns 6 in December. I have a 3-year-old who turns 4 in August, a 2-year-old who turns 3 in August, and a newborn, 2 weeks old, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself.
The only connection that you have with the plaintiff is that you have 1 child with her husband,
Yes.
who is how old?
He's about to be 5 in the end of July.
Now, this is your complaint. Many of these things at least start in 2022, and it is your claim that Miss Bigelow, who has 1 child with your husband, embarked on a course of conduct that can clearly be described as harassment, defamation, which you're going to present to me, and the allegations were serious enough, and this is back in 2022, I would assume, that you filed an application for a protective order.
It was in 2021 that I had filed the protective order.
What month?
It was, I believe, March.
Did you have a trial on that protective order?
There was no trial. There was enough evidence presented.
No. There was no trial.
No, ma'am.
Were you present when the protective order was granted?
Yes, ma'am.
And you consented to it?
Yes.
Okay. So you consented to the plaintiff having a protective order indicating that for 12 months, and hopefully for the rest of your life, you would not assault, menace, threaten, or harass her.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to what I've read, that was in effect until March of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
While the protective order was in effect, there was a violation of that protective order.
Correct, Your Honor.
What month?
It was in the month of March 15th.
Of 2022 or 2021?
2021, Your Honor.
Was there a hearing on the violation of the protective order?
Yes, there was, and I believe at that time, probation temporarily was given to Miss Bigelow.
Is that correct, Miss Bigelow?
Yes, ma'am. Administrative probation.
And all of the events that are the subject of your petition happened between 2021 and 2022.
This has actually been going on far longer than that, and
Have any of the acts that Ms. Bigelow were prevented from doing as a result of the protective order occurred after the protective order expired in March of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I can provide evidence.
That's what I want to see. So now we have Ms. Bigelow, who is on notice. She consented to a protective order because she knew that the evidence would be clear that you were entitled to it. Otherwise, nobody consents to it. So she consented to that order, which means you either assaulted, menaced, threatened, or harassed her. I assume it was a cause of harassment. Then you violated that order and you got a period of probation. Okay. Now I'm hearing evidence of acts that occurred after the protective order. I'm just hearing it. After the protective order expired in March of 2022.
Yes.
Correct? You want to tell me when the first incident was?
The first incident was when me and my husband, on TikTok, there's an algorithm that shows random videos, and she popped up on his For You page, and it was a post about her mother. And so she was living with her mother at the time, and he sent it to her mother.
Your husband did?
Yes.
I only want to know things that had to do with you.
Okay. So I was arrested after my husband got arrested. They tried to charge me.
Just a second. You were arrested in what month?
It was in October, ma'am.
Of what year?
2022.
You were arrested for what?
They tried to claim that I was trafficking drugs.
That's what your husband is in jail for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what did that have to do with her?
It doesn't.
Well, then it doesn't? It doesn't.
She had made posts about me going to jail.
Can I see them?
Yes, ma'am.
Haley produces documents, then hands them to Kevin. He brings them to Judy, who reviews them.
This doesn't say anything that is defamatory. I want to know what you meant is she's already lost custody of her children enough times. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping one day I might be able to gain custody of my son's 2 daughters. What is that?
Okay, so Haley Chapman claimed that she had no understanding of the drugs being in the home when she was found guilty.
What is my son's 2 daughters? Do you mean your boyfriend's?
No, her children. She's religiously lost custody of her children.
No. I understand that. I don't understand this sentence. You wrote, she has already lost custody of her children enough times. I am hoping one day I might be able to gain custody of my son's 2 daughters.
Oh, sorry, not daughters, but sisters. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your Honor,
Just a second. So far, it's not defamatory.
I have my order for reunification. I've only lost my children 1 time.
Doesn't matter. Put a look at it. So far, I don't see anything defamatory. If she wrote that you were arrested and you were arrested, that's not defamatory.
Caption, coming up.
I did suffer anxiety and depression because of this whole situation.
No, you suffer from anxiety, depression if you do, because you were 15 years old when you had a baby, and then you had 4 more children, you're 20 years old, and your husband's in jail. That would put any normal person in a situation of depression.
Haley nods. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Haley and Fallon.
Haley Chapman claims her husband's ex-girlfriend, Fallon Bigelow, owes for defamation, harassment, and emotional distress. Fallon is countersuing Haley for emotional distress.
Still breaking, Betty.
Judy reads a message transcript.
There's something wrong with you. You understand that?
Yes.
You understand that this is all coming from a very stupid place, a very stupid brain that you have absolutely nothing to do with except that you were mad at this guy, at this prize that's sitting in jail for drugs. And so, yeah, don't tell me that you were trying to be altruistic. I don't believe it.
No, that's not it. Actually, her husband assaulted me. I was a child and he was an adult for 1.5 years of my childhood. My son is a product of rape.
You don't get me. That has nothing to do with her.
She has shown up at my house.
Just a second. That has...
Okay.
Judy glares at Fallon, who averts her eyes.
Okay, so she sent a picture of your mugshot, which is also not illegal, and said that you were arrested and charged with trafficking in fentanyl, which you were, right? Which you were. Those charges were subsequently dismissed?
No, ma'am. I was granted pretrial diversion because they didn't have the evidence that they needed to actually...
That's not what I asked you. You were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your mugshot.
Mm-hmm.
And you were arrested for drugs.
Correct.
So she didn't print anything that wasn't true. You were arrested. I'm not saying that what she did was right. I'm saying what she did was stupid, pointless, and just out of nothing but jealousy. Nothing. She certainly doesn't care about your children. Okay. So far, what you showed me, nasty, but not actionable because it's true. What's next?
I have the TikTok that she posted of her claim that she was sexually assaulted by my husband, which backfired on me as well. I had to shut down.
That's what she says. That has nothing to do with you.
Well, an onslaught of people came and harassed me because of her post.
I don't know that at all. And if they harassed you, that's their problem. But I'll take a look at what you want me to look at. But if she accused your husband of a crime of raping her, and she said it's your bad judgment to be with him, and now I assume you have 4 children with him?
3, Your Honor.
3, and 1 with somebody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds terrific. 20 years old. Sounds like we're going in the right direction here for a joyous life.
Judy examines a document containing a comment thread.
Oh. What do you do for a living?
Bartender.
How many children do you have?
1.
Who do you live with?
Myself, but I'm currently moving.
Moving where?
South Carolina.
With whom?
My son and I.
Why?
To leave Florida.
Why? Why South Carolina? You just
I want to go to college for underwater welding, and they don't offer that program where I live currently.
Who are you going with?
Just by myself.
Who lives in South Carolina?
Nobody.
Do you have a place to live?
Yes.
Who's paying for it?
Me.
From what?
My job. I've been saving over the last 2 years.
How much money do you have in the bank?
I have $180,000.
Ooh. Okay. All nasty, stupid. It's not actionable. What else?
I have here that she told me to hurt myself and that she was going to expose nude photos of me.
I'd like to see that.
I also have here her saying that she wanted to throw bed bugs in my yard and on me.
Haley hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
This is all stupid stuff, but nasty and stupid and vicious. And I must add, illiterate. So I hope you're going to a very good school, wherever you're going. First, they should teach you literacy. What's next?
I did suffer chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression because of this whole situation.
No, you suffer from anxiety, depression if you do, because you were 15 years old when you had a baby, and then you had 4 more children, you're 20 years old, and your husband's in jail. That would put any normal person in a situation of depression.
I do have proof, Your Honor.
You don't have proof.
It's from my psychiatrist.
If your psychiatrist was here and you wish to waive it, I'll be more than happy to listen to your psychiatrist. It's what you told your psychiatrist. I'm telling you, I don't have to be a psychiatrist. Somebody who's 20 years old and has 4 children, all under the age of 5, and whose husband is incarcerated for the last year and a half and has 1 child in between that's not his, that's a reason to be depressed. There's a reason to be depressed. Her nagging you because she's stupid and jealous is nasty, but not anywhere as nasty as your husband getting arrested, going to jail, leaving his 3 children and his wife alone to fend for themselves. And if he was incarcerated for drugs, making them, dealing with them, and you were living together, it's kind of hard for me to imagine that you wouldn't have some suspicion of what he was doing for a living. Do you understand what I mean? That would cause me situational depression. And there is only one way to deal with your situational depression, which is to get your life in order.
Currently, I am a nursing student and I have a year left.
Is it a building that you go to?
Yes, ma'am. I restart in September of this year.
You start or you started last year?
I started and then I took a break and then I go back in September.
When did you take a break?
From August of last year up until September, this upcoming September.
And now you're going back in September?
Yes.
And what have you been doing in between, aside having a baby?
In between then, I've just been working. I have 2 jobs.
Where are your children?
My children are actually with my friend at the hotel.
All 4 of them?
2 of them, Your Honor.
Where are the rest of them?
One is staying with my mother-in-law, and my son is in summer camp.
Which one is with your mother-in-law?
One of my daughters that I have with my husband.
And how old is the child who's in summer camp?
He's 5.
Is he in sleepaway summer camp?
No.
Well, who does he live with?
He lives with me.
Who's taking care of him now?
Right now, his grandpa.
His grandfather?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your father?
It is my son's dad's father.
Oh, God.
Caption, coming up.
I also have the times that she made fictitious DCF calls against me and messages of her admitting that she called DCF on me because I wouldn't fight her.
Because you wouldn't fight her?
Yes.
I would like to actually take a look at those.
Yep.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Haley and Fallon.
Haley Chapman has accused her husband's ex-girlfriend, Fallon Bigelow, of defamation and harassment. Fallon claims Haley falsely called child services, causing her emotional distress.
All right, you have anything else you want to show me so far? There's a bunch of nonsense. It's not
Yes,
nonsense,
ma'am.
it's just very unfortunate.
This is her saying that she wanted to fight me.
I don't care about wanting to fight you. You didn't fight with her, right?
No.
And she didn't come to fight you, and she didn't hit you,
No.
right? All right, we're done. Let's see, money owed for emotional distress caused by leaking photos. All right.
Haley Chapman posted child pornography of me via Facebook.
When?
September of 2018. Also, her and her husband were under investigation for extortion of child pornography, threatening that if I did not fight them, they would release the video of him sexually assaulting me while I was pregnant.
I would like to see where she, not he, where she sent you something that you consider harassment.
Okay, she has shown up to my house on...
No, she, listen to me carefully, she sent you an extortion letter. I want to see where she did, not her husband.
The police took the iPod with the original conversation because it involved child pornography.
If I don't have it, I don't have it.
Okay, that's understandable.
Do you have it? The answer is yes or no.
No, not the original conversation.
Ms. Chapman, I told you my best long and short-term advice to you. You are articulate, nice-looking, young, whole life ahead of you. It depends upon where you want to hang your hopes. And if you hang it with somebody who's incarcerated, that's ridiculous. He's not coming out to you anyway. You have a new father for your baby. Do you live with that person? Do you live with that person? Who do you live with?
I live alone.
Oh, God.
I also have the times that she made fictitious DCF calls against me and messages of her admitting that she called DCF on me because I wouldn't fight her.
Because you wouldn't fight her?
Yes.
I would like to actually take a look at those. Not that you're going to get a penny from her. You understand that?
Yep.
You understand why?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And by the way, you know, I understand that you say that there was an abusive sexual relationship between you and her husband, who is the father of your child.
Yes, ma'am.
You did, in fact, allow him to see the child regularly. Is
No,
that?
ma'am.
No?
No.
You mean he's never seen his son?
Actually, no, incorrect. When my son was first born, he was 6 hours late. He came in, he said hello. And other than that, he was not permitted to be around the child.
So he never came to your house and never saw him from the time the child was born until the time he went into jail. Is that correct?
The only time that he did see my son was when she came to my house in June of 2022, when he was parked outside the house and my son had come outside. Other than that, he has not been around my child.
Judy reviews a document.
Yeah, well, you're Haley on this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. She's angry at you, right? she's angry at you because you won't stop. You keep posting stuff about her, about her husband, about the kids, whatever. It's all because...
There were multiple reasons as to why I was upset with her. There were on 3 different occasions when the restraining order was put in place, claiming that I violated when I did not. I was only
Just a second.
Okay.
There was a final order of protection and a finding that you violated that final order of protection, and all this stuff was harassing, nasty, unfortunately, not defamatory, but clearly annoying. And she finally said, I've had enough. You have no case. You have no case, and you're just lucky I'm not awarding her any money because nothing that you posted about her was not true. She was, in fact, arrested. I assume that you were, in fact, a minor when you became pregnant, and the father of your child was an adult. I assume all those things are true. Listen to me. If you saved $180,000, which is a lot of money to be able to save over a couple of years bartending, which is to your credit, and if what you're going to do is try to start a new life, good for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. Put your time to better use. Leave her alone. She's got enough troubles just negotiating life at age 20 with 4 children. Leave her alone.
Okay, so...
This is not a so. This is a period. The end. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Fallon smirks. Outside the courtroom, Haley, then Fallon.
I believe that she gave me some really good life advice and was able to hopefully open the defendant's eyes as to the problems that she's been causing.
She threatened me, threatened my friends, made fictitious DCF reports against me.
Things just mellow out and she decides not to...
Time to get out of Florida.
...defame me or harass me anymore.
Judy and Sarah.
That case reminded me of my family court days, Sarah. Here's this guy who was an adult. She was 15 when her first child was born, 14 when she got pregnant. And I don't understand why that guy's not in jail.
For something other than drugs.
For something other than drugs. Except she probably...
He married her and then had 3 more children.
I'm not sure when he married her, but in between there, in the beginning, he had a child with the defendant. And I think that the plaintiff and defendant sort of knew each other. But there are now 5 children, all with mothers, single mothers, who are unsettled. And there's no question one's living with a grandparent, one's staying here, one back with a friend in a hotel room. It's just so sad for these children. I don't know how to convince generations of young people that you're not supposed to have children, that you're not emotionally and financially and equipped to take care of. Just do that.
And it makes every step of her getting her life back on track at 20 as a child herself all the more difficult with 4 kids in tow. So not only, you know, how sad it is for the children, but she's a child herself that should be able to get her life back on track.
It would be wonderful. She, you know, both seem to be articulate people. Of course, they can't write, but maybe it's just the way they write when they write text.
Twitter fingers, you know.
Yeah, Twitter, but it looks illiterate to me. Maybe I'm just from the wrong generation. That's possible. But it's just sad for those 5 kids.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv.
Footage of 2 people fighting.
She sent the video to your employer, and your employer fired you.
Something like that, yes.
No.
Tell me what proof you have that she sent it. No. I want you to think about it.
My witness was supposed to be here.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
This is Judy Perez is suing her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Bowen, for money she loaned him for attorney fees.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Kevin?
Case number 3015, Perez versus Boeing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Interesting. Miss Perez, you met Mr. Bowen at a truck stop. Tell me when that was and how that happened.
In January, and we both worked there.
January of this year, 2020.
Of last year.
2022.
Yes.
And you began dating, and you, at some point, moved into his home?
I was staying there helping with his kids.
You were staying there?
Yes, I still had my own home.
Say you were staying there. Were you there 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
The whole 2 months.
Okay, so you were living there for 2 months. Who was living in your house?
Nobody.
I assume you weren't just staying there to take care of his kids, that the 2 of you were a couple during that 2-month period. This is what your case is about. During that period of time, Mr. Bowen had physical custody full-time of his children, 2 children?
Correct, Your Honor.
And how long had you had custody of them?
I've had custody of them since 2020.
So since they were infants?
Pretty much, yes.
Did you then have court-ordered legal custody?
Yes, ma'am.
There came a time while you were living together, according to the complaint that I read, that the mother came back into the picture and was seeking custody of the children.
Correct.
And Mr. Bowen needed an attorney.
Yes.
It is your claim that you loaned him $2,000 for an attorney.
Yes.
Things didn't work out between the two of you, and you left, and it was an unpleasant parting. It was not an amicable parting. That be a fair statement?
Fair.
Fair statement?
For a while, we remained friends after that, too, though.
Well, his counterclaim is going to challenge that.
Right.
Anyway, you want your $2,000 back.
Yes.
I don't know what Mr. Bowen says about the $2,000, maybe that you gave it to him as a gift. He's going to tell me, but he's got a counterclaim. And his counterclaim is that you got so angry with him that in a thoroughly vindictive way, you sent a video to his place of employment, which caused him to be fired.
Correct.
And that in addition, you aligned yourself with the mother of his children who was seeking custody of the children.
2 mothers.
2 mothers. They're 2.
Yes, 2 different mothers. Yeah.
You've been busy.
Yeah.
You aligned yourself with those people and created serious difficulty for him by sharing not only the video with them, but also some photographs of him with a BB gun.
Correct, ma'am.
Do you still have custody of the children?
She filed an ex parte order, which plaintiff had help in, and I lost the kids in January, and then I got them back in February, and then we just finally got through the court paperwork to where I have them full-time again. The judge still has to, finalize them.
So what you're telling me is that in January, on an ex parte application, ex parte, that means just the mothers went in themselves, some judge transferred custody without a hearing?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And they originally set it out for 8 months to where I would even be seen.
It used to get me so frustrated, but
it was a tough time.
It was a tough time.
Very much.
Actually outrageous.
Yeah.
And then the children came back to you.
Yeah, actually in February 12th, the mother kind of, I can't do this by myself. And she brought them back, and then I've had them since then the whole time. And we just did last week finalize the paperwork, so we're just waiting.
All right, let's deal with this $2,000 legal fee. Mr. Bowen, did Ms. Perez give you $2,000?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay, tell me the circumstances surrounding her giving you $2,000.
Okay, so in June, one of the mothers of my children wanted to take the custody of the kids back.
Not both children, one.
Well, this was one, and then I have another kid. They got involved, and she did an ex parte order using the exact same paperwork, word for word, everything was the same. Pretty much copy and pasted one to the other.
You get going into too much information for me. I like this all linear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, June 2022.
We were looking for an attorney. She actually was going to give me $7,000 for an attorney that her mother had used, but I was like, that's way too much, so let's try to find something cheaper, and that's where we found somebody.
Well, this is a we. This is not.
Well,
this is
me and
really
her.
your problem.
Right.
This is really your problem. I want to know how she got involved with giving you money.
I'll give you the money, no problem. Here, do you want $7,000 for this lawyer in Bakersfield that my mother used, who I know is a rock star? And I said, no, let's find something else, a little bit localer. And I found the one in Lancaster for $3,500.
And did you go to the attorney in Lancaster?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go with her or alone?
I went by myself.
Did you ask her if she wanted to go with you?
No.
Okay, so you went by yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you went to the lawyer, you got a fee, you were quoted a fee?
Yes, $3,500.
When you were at the office, that would be in June.
Yes.
And when you got that quote and you liked that lawyer,
yes,
then I assume you went home to where Ms. Perez was taking care of your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Which she was doing, by the way.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
You weren't paying her anything.
No, not at all.
And she was still paying for her own house, where she maintained another resident.
Yes. She was there because her children went to another state for the summer. So she just stayed with me while the kids were gone for summer. And then
She stayed with you for a reason. She didn't stay with you. I assume you don't live at a lake.
No, no.
No. Well, you don't live at the beach, right?
I wish, but no.
No, but you don't live at the beach. So now you've got a lawyer's quote for $3,500. You go home to Ms. Perez and you say, dear, I like this lawyer. He only charges $3,500. Is that something like the conversation?
Something like that, yes.
Something like that. Now I want to hear where the $2,000 came from.
Matthew's eyes widen. Caption coming up.
I want you to think and focus. Look at me, and that requires I owed her 4 lamb chops she bought. I owed her 4 a plumber she paid for. Or I owed her 4 a...
Lawyer fee.
Perfect!
Judy grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Stephanie and Matthew.
Stephanie Perez claims her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Bowen, owes for an unpaid loan. Matthew is countersuing for lost wages and slander.
Now I want to hear where the $2,000 came from.
I had...
No. I said, dear, I like this lawyer. He's only $3,500.
She says, here's $2,000 and I have $1,500, and we made it happen.
Okay, here's $2,000.
Yep, yes.
And you said, I have $1,500.
Correct.
Well, you must have said, I have $1,500 first.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
You must have said his fee is $3,500. I have $1,500, because otherwise she wouldn't have known to say, here's $2,000.
Correct,
Right?
yes, Your Honor.
So let's try to get it right.
Yes, Your Honor.
You went home and you said, dear.
I have $1,500, the lawyer's $2,000.
And
we need to make it happen. I need to make it happen.
Were those your words? I need to make it happen? No. I want you to think about it. Don't pull information out of an orifice. Just, if you don't remember, say, I don't remember exactly what I said.
Then I don't remember exactly what was said.
Okay, you don't remember.
Correct.
Do you remember exactly how it happened? Voila. Love it. Okie dokie. Go.
He needed $3,500, and I would only give him $2,000 because I didn't have any more.
I want to hear the conversation.
Okay, he said it was $35. I said that I could.
No, he came home from the lawyer.
He came home.
And you must have said what happened, or I want to hear the conversation.
He actually had talked to them on the phone, and they quoted him that price.
Okay.
He needed the money to go over there. So.
Oh, that's a different story.
Yes.
You see, she remembers. Perfect. So he spoke to the lawyer on the phone.
Yes.
Tell me.
He said that it was $3,500. All I was able to help with, I was off work at the time, so I used my savings. I said I could help him.
I know that you gave him the $2,000. I want to hear how it came about.
I told him that I would need help when my bills came due, that I would help him with the money, but I was not working, that he would have to help me with my bills, and he agreed to that, so I wired the money bank to bank.
To the lawyer's bank or to his bank?
No, to Mr. Bowen's account, because we have the same bank.
And what was said exactly was, you'll have to help me out with my bills when they come.
Yes.
And?
He agreed to that.
Okay.
I wired the money, he went, he took care of everything, and then my bills started to become due. He said he didn't have any money.
Bills? Like what bills?
My mortgage, my electric, my gas.
Okay, and you were still living together?
I was still staying in there, yes.
Yes. In what month? July?
Till the end of June.
Well, when did this transaction take place?
June 6th.
So just a couple of weeks later?
Yes.
Well, where did you expect him to get you $2,000 from?
He was supposed to, as he got...
Well, right now, you don't have a contract for him. It wasn't a loan. Right now, what I'm hearing, which is why I asked for the exact terminology, is saying to him, you'll have to help me out with my bills when they come in, is not a loan.
I also have a bunch of text messages asking, and him saying right now, I know I owe you money.
Then I'd like to see those.
Stephanie flips through documents.
These machines can either be a curse or a godsend.
Kevin brings documents to Judy, who reviews them.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't change my position that there has to be a clear contract if there's a loan. I'm borrowing this money, I will pay you back this amount of money, and according to what you told me, he acknowledges here, I'll give you some money when I have it. That's as vague as, you have to help me out with my bills when they start to come in. And he says, sure, I'll help you out. Okay, now I'm gonna come to you, Mr. Bowen.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems from reading these text messages that you acknowledge that you owe her money.
Yes, ma'am.
You acknowledge that in these text messages.
Okay.
Because you don't say, I don't owe you anything. You say, I have a big bill coming in. You know, I'm sorry. I'll try to get some to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you acknowledge that you owe her money.
Yeah, I guess yes, Your Honor.
Yes, well, that's what this says. It's not specific, but you acknowledge you owe her money. What do you owe her money for?
Well, I guess.
Not a well. Not a well. Well is not an answer.
All right.
What did you owe her money for? Don't look at the sky. I want you to think and focus. Look at me, and that requires I owed her for lamb chops she bought. I owed her for a plumber she paid for, or I owed her for a
Lawyer fee.
perfect. Perfect. And the lawyer fee was how much?
$2,000.
Perfect. And how much of that $2,000 did you give her back?
I've maybe given her $100.
Just a second. Did he give you any money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it does indicate that he did, in fact, give you some money back.
Yes.
How much did he give you back?
About what he says, $100.
Okay, so you still owe her $1,900. There you go. How great. So even though you didn't have a perfect contract?
I know for the future.
Right. Now we have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
And the counterclaim is that you were very annoyed with him, which is very ridiculous, Ms. Perez. I understand from reading your papers, and I'm trying to read between the lines, and, you know, you develop a certain amount of wisdom when you get older. He had you at the house for 2 months. Your kids were away for the summer. He has these 2 little kids, right? And he was using you as a babysitter.
Yes.
And you felt used.
I know. I got very attached to him.
To whom?
To
the children or him?
The kids.
So according to your answer and your counterclaim, Mr. Bowen, you were involved in an altercation at work.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
I worked at Love's.
What is that?
It's a truck stop, and it just services pretty much the big rigs on the road.
Okay. And an incident occurred while you were working.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the date of the incident? Because I'm going to see the video.
September 18th.
Of
2022.
Tell me what happened.
I'm a cashier, and, you know, after doing it for so long, just so you pick things up, you see people coming in and you know they're up to no good. I have my eyes on this one character, and sure enough, he grabs like a $400 party speaker and a bunch of other little electronic stuffs, and he's walking out the store, and I'm trying to get my coworkers' attention who were sitting there talking like, hey, stop him, stop him, stop him, he's stealing. And then nobody like pays attention, and he walks outside, and that's kind of where it started. Is I said, hey, give that stuff back, and I swatted the speaker out of his hand, and that's when he came at me and he attacked me, and I was defending myself. He had a knife, like once you go and you'll see it, like he had like an 8-inch knife.
Caption coming up.
Now, what I need is from you proof that she sent that video, and I need proof that the reason you were fired from your job was because of that video. Because me, I would give you a gold star and make you Employee of the Month.
Matthew smiles. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Stephanie and Matthew.
Stephanie Perez has accused her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Bowen, of refusing to pay back a loan. Matthew is countersuing, claiming Stephanie got him fired after sharing a fight video with his job.
Okay, so you were working and trying to prevent a thief from leaving the area with property that you were responsible for.
Correct.
Okay, well, that sounds perfectly reasonable unless you're living in some ridiculous community that says, oh, you got to let everybody steal. And we don't stop shoplifters because, you know, that's not the American way. Okay, so you were protecting property that was your responsibility because you work at the store.
Correct.
How long had you been working at the store?
I worked at the store up until I got let go for a year and a half.
Okay, now I'm going to see the video.
Okay. And just for context, like, it starts after I swatted the big old box out of his hand.
Is this the video that you allege that the plaintiff sent to your employer
Yes, ma'am.
and
Both
to
of
the
them.
mother of your children?
2 of them, yes, ma'am.
To 2 of the mothers
Yes.
of your children in order to assist them in their
ex
custody
parte
case.
orders, yes.
In their ex parte application.
Yes.
I have evidence on that too, that
I
he
wanna
asked
tell you
the
something.
baby mom to lie in court today, and that's why she wouldn't come.
I have to tell you something.
Okay.
I don't understand why you would get involved in that anyway.
I didn't.
Okay, so you never sent this video.
He sent me the video,
Just
but I did not send it to corporate.
You didn't send it to anybody is my
No.
question. You didn't send it to...
He sent it to tons of people.
I'm asking you whether you ever sent it to his place of business.
No.
Did you ever send it to either of the people who were the mother of his children?
No, I only know one of them.
And you didn't send it?
No.
Okay. So I'll look at the video, then you'll tell me what proof you have that she sent it.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Take a look.
Footage of Matthew shoving a man to the ground. The man rises, flails his arms, then lunges at Matthew, who wrestles him to the ground, then punches him. The man rises, then leaves. Matthew turns to the camera.
Was that you?
My adrenaline was pumping, Your Honor. I apologize.
What were you yelling at?
At the camera, just at the camera, yeah.
Why were you yelling at the camera?
I turned around and seen it. I didn't even know that the guy was recording it.
Which guy?
There's a random trucker. It's a random trucker.
Who was recording it for what reason? I don't know. You don't know.
I don't know. He just...
Well, how did you get the recording?
He sent it to one of the guys that used to work there as well, and then I got it from him.
You sent it to one of the guys that used to work
Yeah,
at the
that's
truck
on the
stop.
video. I'm not going to say his name, but he's in the video right there.
Okay. So one of your coworkers.
Yes, ma'am.
And this guy who was there, the thief.
Yes.
Was clearly high on something.
Yes. And then, like, if you back it up, you can...
Okay.
There's a smidgen where you see the knife.
I get the picture. Please, I get the picture. Now, what I need is from you proof that she sent that video for whatever reason to your employer, and I need proof that the reason you were fired from your job was because of that video. Because me, I would give you a gold star and make you Employee of the Month. I would, if I owned the truck stop. So you understand what you have to prove to me?
Yes.
That she sent the video to your employer, and your employer fired you because of the video.
Okay, so my proof on both, my witness was supposed to be here.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah,
I was
right.
supposed to be 5'8", but I had a short
Right,
arm.
right, I understand that. But the witness that came with me, she bailed just like on everything else, so I don't have any proof of it. It was
So just a sec. So the answer is you don't have any proof of that? Okay, well, that's easy. And what proof do you have that she sent that clip of a video or gave it to one of the mothers of your children?
Yes.
In order to assist them in their custody dispute, which is not illegal, but would be nasty.
I don't.
So you don't?
Don't, yeah. No.
Well, your counterclaim then is dismissed. You understand that?
Yeah.
And you owe her $1,900.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Matthew, then Stephanie.
It was a gift while we were together, but as soon as we broke up, it was, oh, now I need my money.
I've asked him for my money and he refused to give me it.
If you got the right person to make the team, it's good. But if you don't, and it's not a solid connection, it's not worth it.
I'm a single mom. I don't have money just to hand out like that.
Documents, get proof of everything. That's all I could say.
Sarah and Judy.
So it's a new phenomenon, this sort of phones first approach to everything.
Oh, you mean
phones
cell phones?
eat first, phones watch the fight first, phones catch everything first. I think how the defendant put it, a random trucker just saw a fight break out, and first instinct is just get your phone out and take a video. And we've seen it in New York City on the subways. We see too many times people taking video and no one is helping do anything. So I felt bad for the defendant. As you said, you would have given him a gold star for what he did if you owned the truck stop. Opinions differ on that.
Sarah, I'm still confused. If the owner of a business says, I don't want you to confront thieves because I don't want you to put your life at risk, and that's the reason. But if they're saying, I don't want you to confront thieves because I'm afraid that they're going to be picketing outside my stores because we confronted a thief and stopped a thief, that's a whole different thing. And I am still not able to follow that mindset. I read something this week that in a very famous, huge chain, 2 employees followed the rules. They did not try to stop the thief who was walking out with hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise, but called the police. And the police stopped them, got them, and the 2 employees were fired. I used to say, when I worked in family court, that the first time a kid gets arrested, there has to be a consequence. You don't imprison a kid for 5 years if they've stolen a bicycle. But there has to be some consequence, just as you do with your own children. You tell them to come in at 10, they come in at 11:30. There has to be a consequence. If you don't, they think as parents, you're full of baloney and there are no rules. Well, that's what's happening here when you think it's okay to go into a store and steal with impunity. I don't understand that. I feel as if I'm living in some alternative universe. Okay, got it out of my system. Thank you.
Of course.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to Judy Justice.
You loaned him money. He didn't pay you back.
We were sending money back and forth to each other.
Then you kept dating him and giving him more money.
I was vulnerable.
I would say we both were vulnerable.
And you're also, you know, a little bit of a con guy.
This is Judy Justice, suing her ex-boyfriend, Isaiah Quinones, for an unpaid loan and unauthorized credit card charges.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Hello, Kevin. Case number 3001, Dooley versus Quinones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Julie, what kind of work do you do?
I do personal training and an esthetician.
And how long have you been doing that?
I just started personal training this May, and I've been doing lashes since 2018.
You've been doing what?
Lashes.
Lashes?
Esthetician, yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Since 2018.
Okay. Mr. Quinones was a short-term boyfriend.
We were never together. We were dating.
You were dating?
Dating.
Dating sufficiently that he asked you for, according to you, some money for an investment that he wanted to make. According to you, he asked you for a loan, and that loan was for $10,000.
Correct.
In what month and year did he ask you for this loan?
August 2021.
And how long had you known him in August of 2021?
About a month.
You know that doesn't sound terribly intelligent to me, and you look like a very intelligent
It wasn't very intelligent.
person. Okay, so you knew him for a month. He asked you for $10,000, and he told you it was for a business that he was thinking about going into, and that business was buying and then reselling cars.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, and according to you, you gave him the $10,000, and he was supposed to pay you back. He never did. Now he's not your boyfriend anymore. You want the money back. Where did you get the money from to give him?
I just saved it.
You have proof of that?
Yeah.
Rebecca hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Miss Julie, I'm not invested in your story so far. You understand that?
Yes.
Because if he asked you for an investment in August of 2021, that's what you said.
Yes.
And he asked you, according to you and according to his answer, $10,000, right?
Well,
according to you, according to his answer, she sent me $10,000, and he acknowledges that. He acknowledges that you sent him $10,000. You know who doesn't acknowledge that? Moi. I do not acknowledge that. Now, in August of 2021, you sent him $3,605. Do you know that I don't believe that that was $10,000 for a bunch of cars and investment? Then you didn't send him money again, according to this. You sent him $200 the end of October. Then you sent him another $200. Then you sent him $100. Then you sent him $2,500, and it says in that for car. Not the other. It says in that one for car. That was, oh my God, it looks like it was sometime in October, although I don't have dates on this one. Now, if you're going to try to convince me that this was a $10,000 loan that you made to him, you're going to have to show me contemporaneously with this August 2021 some communication with him. Okay?
Okay.
Rebecca hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This is August 11th. Where's my moolah? Would that be you?
I sent that.
August of what year?
21.
August 11th of 2021, you say, where's my money? What are you talking about?
The $5,000 that he promised for the car. When he sold the car, he was going to give me $15,000 back.
You hadn't given him that money in August of 2021.
I did. It just doesn't say the dates.
No, this doesn't say anything about $10,000, madam.
They're broken up, that's why.
I understand it's broken up, but it's broken up in October.
No, that's on top of the $10,000.
What? Well, just show me the $10,000.
Well, it's broken up, so I highlighted it.
You have $2,500, but it's listed under October dates. I don't understand this 3605. What was $3,605 for, Mr. Quinones? Do you remember?
I don't remember that number, no, Your Honor. I don't remember what it was used for.
She sent you other monies over a period of time, $200, $100, $200. What was that for?
The smaller amounts, Your Honor, those were probably just when we were dating and we were sending money back and forth to each other.
Well, show me that you were sending her money.
No, he was just always asking for money.
Well, why were you giving it to him?
Because I felt bad because he was broke and he said he couldn't buy his daughter Christmas presents.
So what?
In October.
I'm a giver.
Well, then what are you coming to court for?
To get my loan back that he said he was going to pay me back.
Really? He said he was
The
going to pay
little
you
amounts
back.
are
He
nothing.
said
That's nothing to me.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.
You understand that. That I am actually getting you. However, you loaned him money, according to you, in August of 2021. He didn't pay you back. You asked him for money because you said he sold a car, right? And he never sent it to you, right?
Yes.
And after that, you sent him more money.
Yeah.
And kept sending him money for months. So each time you sent him more money, he never made one payment on this alleged loan.
Because he's a narcissist and he love bombed me.
He what?
Loved bomb me.
What is that?
It's a term that narcissists do and they pretend that they're somebody else, like making promises.
Well, that's an old story, but that's not a court case. If you give him money and he says, this is for this, when I sell a car, I'll give it back to you, that's great. And then he sells a car, he doesn't give you any money, and then you give him more money. And he still doesn't give you any money, and he needs more money. So you send him more money. At some point, you have to say to yourself, this is not a loan anymore, this is my own stupidity.
Rebecca fidgets. Caption coming up.
She says I keep secrets or I'm a liar. I honestly know I'm not a liar. Maybe a bad businessman, but
You're
not
a
a liar.
bad businessman, and you're also, you know, a little bit of a con guy.
And later today,
He rented a car to come to help you. You hadn't actually met him before, and he was going to stay with you on your sofa. You felt uncomfortable about him being in the house when your children were home, so you asked him to leave. It seems to me that you both made some bad choices.
A bearded man nods. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Rebecca and Isaiah.
Rebecca Dooley claims her ex-boyfriend, Isaiah Quinones, sold multiple cars that she paid for and kept all the money.
Now, you have to say to yourself, this is not a loan anymore, this is my own stupidity, right?
Yeah, well, he was telling me that he was going to get a check coming in the mail. He sent me, like, screenshots. He was on the phone with some people that owed him a check that he sent me, that they were going to give it to him.
Mr. Quinones, what were you supposed to do with this money?
I was supposed to purchase vehicles to flip them and earn money on them.
Is that what you told her?
Yes, ma'am.
I see that you have a paucity of evidence in front of you, which means very little evidence in front of you. How many cars did you buy?
I bought 2, Your Honor.
When?
In August of that year.
Okay. And how much did you pay for them?
Altogether, it was $9,500 that came out to you in total.
And how much did you sell them for?
I actually lost money on them, Your Honor. So I actually ended up getting back about $8,000.
And how much did you put in, sir, of your money into the $9,000 that you spent on the 2 cars?
Nothing into the $9,000?
Fine. So you put nothing into the 9, and you got back 8.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that 8 was her money.
Yes, Your Honor. And we.
So that 8,000 was her money. Your investment was losing, but so far you're ahead of the game, $8,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Yes.
So far you got $8,000 in your pocket. You put in zippity doodah.
Yes, ma'am.
And keep going.
The next time around.
What do you mean the next time around?
So I told her I was going to purchase more vehicles.
Yeah, and?
And I actually put some of my own money in at that time as well. So I put back in another $2,000
Just
myself.
a second. And how much did you spend for those cars?
It came out to $10,000 altogether.
$10,000 altogether?
Altogether.
Okay. And of that $10,000, $8,000 was hers?
Yes.
And what'd you do with those cars?
I sold those vehicles, Your Honor.
And how much did you sell them for?
Altogether, both cars came out to about $7,500. So I lost money on
So you're a lousy businessman, sir.
I was at selling cars, yes.
You were a miserable businessman at first, and you were, according to you, your track record is consistently miserable.
Yes, Your Honor. That's why I got out of that and stopped selling cars.
Okay. Let's say I believe you. Is that what you told her? You ended up losing money on both things?
Yes,
because
Your
that's what you said.
Yes,
you
Your
said it was an investment, not a loan, but we didn't make money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? But so far, if I take your figures, you had $8,000 of her money.
Yes, Your Honor.
You put in $2,000 of your own money and then bought cars for $10,000, sold those cars for $7,500. So best case scenario, if you take back your $2,000 investment, you still have $5,000 of her money.
Yes, Your Honor. And this was never an issue because, like Rebecca said, we were supposedly just dating, but it was an actual relationship we were in. And we actually started getting closer. I had a job on the side as well, but during that time, I was on family leave because I ended up having kidney stones. So I was in the hospital a lot. And I was letting her know, like, hey, I'm trying, but it's not working right now. And I ended up losing money on our investments.
You lost money, but you ended up with money in your pocket.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If she got back all the money she put in as an investment and you were out $2,000, and I don't believe you actually put in $2,000. You have any proof that you put in $2,000?
I don't have that bank account anymore, Your Honor. And
you don't have that bank account. I don't have that cell phone that got erased.
She says I keep secrets or I'm a liar. I honestly know I'm not a liar. Maybe a bad businessman, but
you're
not a liar.
You're a bad businessman, and you're also, you know, a little bit of a con guy. Mm-hmm. You're also a little bit of a con guy, because if you have a girlfriend and you say, listen, I want to do something for an investment, and you try it out and it doesn't work out and you have losses, and so far, you don't have any losses. She has losses.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Dooley, you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds as if you made an investment, not a loan. And you were hoping for two things. You were hoping you could keep him, although I don't know why. You were hoping you could keep him, but you were also going to make money. But then he didn't sell the cars for what he said he was going to sell the cars for. You kept giving him money. Now, you can't, even if it was an investment, you can't keep her money.
Yes.
If you lost money on the cars, did he ultimately tell you he lost money on the cars?
No, he said that he sold the cars.
Did he tell you for how much?
No, he just said the car's already sold. So
And?
that's why I was waiting for my money. That's why I said, where's my money?
Yeah, but then you kept dating him and giving him more money.
Yeah.
Okay. If I believe you, bought the cars, sold the cars, you lost money, but you still ended up with cash in your pocket.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
It was about $7,500.
That's what it was, according to the math.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $7,500. Even if it was an investment, she's entitled to it if you lost money. She's entitled to her money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're a smart lady. You're a business person. You work hard, you know.
I know. The love bombing. I was vulnerable.
I would say we both were vulnerable.
Yeah, but you were vulnerable. You got richer.
I understand that, Your Honor. I understand where you're coming from, what you're saying. But that money, at the end of the day, we were together. I found out she was actually married at the time or had her husband at the time. She ended up leaving her husband for me.
And?
We ended up not together. The money thing wasn't an issue the whole time we were together. The money thing wasn't an issue.
I understand, but you said to me, sir.
No, yes,
Mr.
Your Honor, I
Quinones,
understand.
you said to me in your answer that this was a business investment. She says it was a loan. I don't believe that. I don't buy it. And ordinarily, I would just say goodbye, your case is dismissed. But I think she did give you money, and I think you did use it to buy cars. I think you actually were together. But you ended up making a profit. She had the loss. And that's unfair in a business relationship, if that's what you say it was. $7,500. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Isaiah, then Rebecca.
I understand where the judge is coming from and saying that I owe her that money.
Yeah, I just ended up falling for it because I was in a vulnerable state.
I didn't agree with me being a con man.
The truth is he's a liar, and he's a narcissist, and he's a scammer and con artist.
For the 7-8 months we were together, there was no issues. And it wasn't until we broke up that all of a sudden there's an issue.
So I got mixed up with the wrong person.
Sarah and Judy.
I've been here a while now, and we've seen this scenario over and over. I don't think I've seen a single successful investment loan from a woman to a man where it worked out positively for
we don't see those here,
for the woman.
As she said, and we were talking back here, you were trying to explain to me the term love
bombing.
Love bombing. Do it one more time.
From what I understand, I'm not an expert on the matter, but it's when your partner shows you affection or gifts or tricks.
You mean a new partner?
No, a very new partner. And there's some psychological explanation as to why it has the other person completely off guard and fully trusting of that person who's doing that. And then they slowly start to retract that love and affection, leaving the other person sort of...
With a lighter bank account.
Yes.
Well, that's what she said happened to her.
Case number 3007, Lacey versus Mayo. All parties, please step forward.
Courtney Lacey is suing her former friend, Marcus Mayo, for business products, lost wages, and harassment.
Right, Ms. Lacey, there's a whole story here that really doesn't necessarily impact on the bare bones facts of this case. The bare bones facts are you met the defendant on TikTok.
Correct.
And you were in the beard business. That is, you made products for men, for their beard.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that that jar that's there for show and tell is one of them.
Courtney nods. Caption coming up.
You threw her product away. There were other things that you could have done with it. You sure you threw it away?
I did.
You did. Why? You couldn't use it? You didn't like it for your beard?
It meant nothing to me after that. I was just looking at it, made me mad.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Courtney and Marcus.
Courtney Lacey claims her former friend, Marcus Mayo, threw away her beard products without permission. Marcus is countersuing for rental car charges and lost work.
Now, the defendant traveled to where you live from what state to what state?
Connecticut to Ohio.
In order to help you at a fair to sell your product.
Yes, ma'am.
When? What month and year?
My event date was April 1st of 2023, and he did come in 2 days.
So around April of 2023 is when you went to the fair, and there was a fair. I don't know whether you sold products or not, but you went with her.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a business arrangement? Were you supposed to get any financial remuneration, or were you just meeting this person in the flesh that you had met on TikTok?
Nothing was talked about. We just showed up and winged it.
Okay. And then whatever happened, you were leaving and going back to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And when you left, you took some product with you.
I was given the product.
But you took some with you.
Yes.
I didn't say you stole it. You took some product in your car,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes.
Tell me what you took in your car.
It was a couple of cases. I believe what she said was 78 jars of a product.
78 jars of her product.
Mm-hmm.
How many had you sold at the fair?
I sold about 3 at the vendor's event.
You sold 3?
Yes.
I also donated $40.
I don't care. 78 jars is what you took home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what is the retail cost of these 78 jars?
$25 a jar.
And what is your cost? You're in business to make that jar. What is the jar and the product? How much does it cost?
With everything put together, it cost me roughly around $6, $7. Just depends on what scent I'm using.
So say it costs you $6 a jar. That would be $468. Okay, you're suing him for $3,600, so that's ridiculous. So he took this product, and at some point, you wanted it back.
Yes.
So when did you tell him you wanted it back?
When I seen that he was bashing me on social media once he left, I wasn't aware that he felt some type of way. I asked
Just
him,
tell me what date it was that you wanted it back.
It would have been April 3rd.
And did he tell you that he would send it back if you paid for it?
He did several times.
He did several times say, I'll send it back if you send me.
Yes.
And did you?
He said that he was going to go to the UPS store and overnight it. I told him I did not have overnight money. And then he told me he was going to throw my product away, that he wasn't going to mess with it.
And that was in April. What'd you do with the product, Mr. Mayo?
I held on to it.
No, it's April. That's not a long time ago. How long did you hold on to it?
I held on to it for a week. The following Monday, I heard nothing from her. She blocked me on everything. I said I give her 2 days to give me a call, let me know what's going on.
Do you have that in messages?
Every message between us that whole morning is right here.
Marcus hands documents to Kevin.
By the way, what were you going to do with these 78 jars?
She wanted me to sell them for her and give her the money. I was under the understanding that I was going to.
Shh. Did you say to him, throw it away, I'll report it as stolen property?
After the numerous threats
Just a second.
telling me.
Did you say that to him?
Yes.
Okay, so sounds that to me, and I've read the papers, and the text messages between you seem to support the idea that he came for a few days, you rented a car.
I rented the Tesla.
How much was the Tesla to rent?
Rented me about $1,400. I have the actual.
Okay, no, I'm not entertaining your counterclaim, sir. Okay. Your counterclaim's nonsense. But he rented a car to come to help you. You hadn't actually met him before.
Right.
And when he came, your children were someplace else for the event, for the weekend, or you thought for a few days, and he was going to stay with you on your sofa. That's what you said.
Only for the event.
Well, he wouldn't have driven, I don't know how many states away and rented a car to come for 1 day. That sounds ridiculous. And you actually acknowledge that you weren't expecting your children to come home, but your children were coming home, and you felt uncomfortable about him being in the house when your children were home, so you asked him to leave. That you acknowledge.
Right.
Okay. And so he left. I don't know whether he left during the course of an argument, but somehow he took these jars of product worth $460, and he didn't take them without your permission. He took them with your permission.
Right, we had an agreement.
That was?
That he was going to take some back. He had some barber friends and friends that was interested in buying.
Right.
And he asked if he could have a box of each scent.
Okay. And he took 78 boxes back, which are worth $468. That's your cost.
That's the price it cost for me to
Yeah,
take
he's
it,
not
but-
paying you. He's not paying you for what you retail it for. You had a disagreement. He offered to send it back if you paid for it. He held on to it for a week. Should he have held on to it longer? I don't know. That is a sort of subjective thing. I can't say you should hold on to it for a month. You should have sent it to her COD if she didn't want to pick it up. She didn't have to pick it up, but I don't know where you send things COD anymore. I don't think that they do that anymore. Anyway, your whole loss is maybe $400 in product and jar.
But he took the jars to sell them for me to his friends. I offered
don't
him
care.
permission. And
I
he
don't
didn't want
care.
it.
It seems to me that you both made some bad choices. It wasn't explained to him, and I don't know what he was thinking. Nor do I want to know what he was thinking. You know, to drive for a day and a half, to come to your house, not knowing who you are. He went to the event. He was helpful at the event. And then you told him that you had to leave, go to a hotel. That's
We
what you
didn't
said.
talk about the plans after the event. That's where
Well,
the
then you should have.
miscommunication came.
Actually, you should have.
Right, and I took accountability for that.
$468. You threw her product away. There were other things that you could have done with it. You sure you threw it away?
I did.
You did. Why? You couldn't use it? You didn't like it for your beard?
It meant nothing to me after that. I was just looking at it made me mad.
Okay, good. $468. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Marcus, then Rebecca.
I held on to it for as long as I could. I tried to be reasonable for as long as I could.
The beard whip is my passion, and to know that somebody can just take it and throw it away.
And it got to a point where she was unreasonable, so I discarded the product.
He took my jars, and he said, well, I have friends back at home that's willing to buy because they want to try it in their in barbershops.
He clearly was not going to pay to have it mailed back.
He was just a friend I met on TikTok that I thought was my friend, but obviously he had other intentions.
Sarah and Judy.
Immediate red flag all women should look out for. If you don't know a guy's middle and last name, he should not be driving states, flying states, going to an airport, going on vacation. If you just met someone, if the only way that you are able to contact someone is through social media because you don't have their phone number, they should not be coming to your house.
That's true. Yeah.
So, immediate red flag.
But I don't understand him either. You know, there's another universe there.
I'm sure there had to be some underpinnings of promises or whatever from her end because he didn't seem like a stupid guy. He doesn't seem like someone that just has nothing to do.
He rented a Tesla and drove a day and a half to get there just to help her at the fair.
Exactly.
Yeah, give me a break.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you a victim of a scam? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You rented a room in a house that you own?
I was being harassed so much, filming me with my cameras in the house, making my life a living hell.
You don't like where you're staying? Move.
I called the police 4 times.
I'm telling you to move!
This Pasquarello is suing his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, for destruction of property, a security deposit, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3037, Pasquarello versus Hubbard.
Oh, my goodness. Mr. Pasquarello, you all seem to have a lot of things that you brought to me, and I actually think that you're all overthinking this case. I, however, am not overthinking it. It's relatively simple. You rented a room from the defendant in a house that you own.
Yes, ma'am.
It didn't work out. They didn't like he and his girlfriend? Fiance. Didn't get along with you. You didn't get along with them. You had problems with each other's lifestyles. You are no longer there, and you want your security deposit back, which I, of course, will entertain. But you're asking for emotional distress, nuisance, filing a false restraining order, harassment. That's not happening. I want you to get over that. You had a tenancy that didn't work out. And if it didn't work out, and if you didn't do anything to the property, you're entitled to your security deposit back. You moved in when?
December 1st.
What do you do for a living?
I own a company.
What kind of company?
It's a janitorial company.
For how long?
Approximately 9 years.
Do you have employees?
Yes.
How many?
Approximately 20.
You pay them on the books or off the books?
On.
Was this an interim room that you were renting from him, or were you planning on staying here for a long time?
It was a 6-month lease.
Is there any reason why you took a room, if you have a company for 9 years with 20 employees that you pay on the books, that you were living in a room?
Yes, I'm going through a divorce. I moved to Los Angeles 2007 and got with my wife for 15 years. We're going through a divorce, and during the pandemic, she was raised in Riverside, so I had to follow her all the way to Riverside because she has 3 of my children. I don't have any family or friends here on this side of the country. I'm from Florida. So I was by myself, and I had to rent a room by myself.
And the children stayed with their mother in the house, in your property?
Yes, we are currently going through a custody battle.
So what you're telling me is that a room was what you could afford?
That's all I could afford at the moment.
Okay.
We're still going through community property.
Okay. So you found his room.
I was moving from one house to another because they were selling their home. The housing market is very, very bad right now. It's very hard to find rent in what I can afford. So I found his, along with 2 others, and I liked his location, and I moved in under the lease agreement that he presented to me.
Okay. So he presented a lease agreement to you. You signed it. You have a copy of it.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Your Honor, there's a couple of discrepancies with
Just a second.
Sorry.
I didn't ask you anything yet. There are no discrepancies. He rented a room from you and he signed a lease. I asked him to see the lease.
He started moving his belongings in November 13th of 22.
And?
And he officially moved himself in on December 1st.
Why is that important?
When he moved in, he brought a refrigerator into the house that was infested with roaches.
Just a second. Do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
I'm trying to go through it. I have so much here that...
I know, you have a lot there.
Keith flips through a stack of documents. Brandon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Here it is. I found it, by the way.
All right, there's a very big lease with your signature on it on November 7th. Okay, so now I have the lease. You moved in on December 12th. When did you move out?
When my girlfriend got back from her trip from Spain and Italy is when I was able to move, because she was able to help me. I couldn't do it by myself. I don't remember the exact date.
You have the date when he moved out?
Yes. So I have a timeline here. 4/21, he moved out, and at that point...
Okay, 4/21.
Yep.
And what was the monthly rent, sir?
$1,000.
And how much was your security?
$500. If I could say, Your Honor, I'm not here because we had a little spat.
No, I know you didn't have a spat. It was a terrible 4 months.
It's a breach of a lease, Your Honor. I mean, they had 3 rules. It says it right here in his lease, 3 rules and regulations. And on the 17th, I got a new set of rules. Then I was only told I can do my laundry once a week. Then I was told that my girlfriend couldn't stay past 9 o'clock. The rules were changing as they went on, making my life a living hell.
Well, then you move. How old are you?
I'm going to be 50, and this
You're
is my
going to be
very
50.
first...
Just a second. You're going to be 50.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, rules are what people live by. I assume that that's one of the reasons that you're going through a divorce and you have custody, unless it was a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I don't know which one it was, and I actually don't care. What I'm telling you is, if something is terrible and you're 50 years old, you say, I'm done here. I'm leaving.
I was going to do that, Your Honor. I was looking for places to stay. The housing market is almost impossible in my...
So what is... That's not his fault. That's your fault.
It's not his fault for taking away my quiet peace and enjoyment of life? Filming me with my cameras in the house, not telling me I'm being monitored?
Let me explain something to you, sir. You're a big boy. I say this to people all the time. You don't like where you're staying? Move. Sometimes I have sympathy for somebody who is really down and out, and they say, I really can't cobble the money together to find month's rent and a month's security. I was trying to save my money. That's not in your case. You've had a business for 9 years with 20 employees who you pay on the books, and you have 3 children. So that's not your situation. What I'm telling you is, not everything is a lawsuit. And I know that you're suing him for $10,000 because he violated the peaceful enjoyment of your life. Okay? Move.
Keith bristles. Caption coming up.
So, and I don't necessarily believe it, but I actually find it amusing for a lawyer to tell you, well, stop paying rent, and you'll deal with it when you come up with an unlawful detainer because you are staying without paying rent.
Sarah shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Keith and Brandon.
Keith Pasquarello claims his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, destroyed his property and harassed him. Brandon is countersuing for pest control fees and filing a false restraining order.
You're a grown man. You run a big business. You're not supposed to stay in a place that's terrible.
Judge, the business is in community property right now, and
I don't care. That's not his fault.
I don't own the full business. I don't get the full money.
Hey, I'm telling you, I asked you what you did. You said, I own a business. I have 20 employees. It's a janitorial business, and I needed a place right away. I took his room, and what I'm telling you is, you have a car?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Where does your girlfriend live?
She lives 2 cities away.
Okay, well.
But there's another aspect of this, Your Honor. That's why there's so much evidence up here. I was being harassed so much that I didn't know what to do anymore. I was given advice by an attorney, stop paying him, and you will deal with it when you go to the unlawful detainer hearing, and we'll see if it gets solved there.
You went to an attorney? Just a second.
Yes.
You consulted with an attorney who gave you advice?
Yes.
Is this an attorney that you knew who worked for you? Or is this someone that you found that was a specialist in this field of landlord and tenant?
It's someone that was a specialist in this field. Problem is, this is Riverside and this is Los Angeles. He's a Los Angeles.
I don't care. Now, lawyers don't work for free. What did he charge you?
Nothing. It was a consultation.
Charged you nothing for a consultation?
It was a 20-minute conversation.
20 minutes?
Yes.
I get a bill for 20 minutes for $750. I don't know how you got your consultation for nothing. So, and I don't necessarily believe it, but I actually find it amusing for a lawyer to tell you, well, stop paying rent, and you'll deal with it when you come up with an unlawful detainer because you are staying without paying rent.
Your Honor, I filed an incident with Fair Housing. I called the police 4 times.
I'm telling you to move.
I couldn't move, Your Honor.
What are you?
I couldn't move. I couldn't move.
Mr. Pasquarello, I can't help you, sir. You want your security deposit back? I have to see if you left a mess. If you didn't leave a mess, then you get your $500 security back. Except, I have a question. Did you pay December's rent?
Yes, yes.
Did you pay January's rent?
Yes.
February?
Yes.
March?
You did not pay February.
Don't speak. Sorry. March's rent.
I didn't pay March or April, but it was already litigated.
No. I don't care. You moved out April 21.
Yes.
Did you pay March's rent? I'm going to ask you for proof.
I don't believe I paid March's
Okay,
rent.
so you didn't pay March's rent of $1,000. So already you don't get your security deposit back.
But he was already awarded this in a previous case.
What? Previous case?
In the previous case, he was awarded in the unlawful detainer hearing. The judge granted him March and April.
Oh, so he got March and April's rent?
Yeah, he got March and he didn't receive it.
And just a second. Yeah. Did you pay him March and April's rent?
No, I haven't. Not at the moment.
Well, I'm not an appellate court. You have to go get that from someplace, sir. You have to get that from him. You have to file a judgment. You have to attach his business. You have to do what you have to do. If the judge awarded you March and April, which I would have considered. Anyway, Mr. Pasquarello, I'm done with your case. I'm going to get to the counterclaim. You're not entitled to security deposit back because you didn't pay rent for 2 months. Okay, now let's get to your counterclaim. You had a hearing before a judge in an unlawful detainer?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and you testified? Speak.
Sorry.
That's either a yes or a no. Did you testify?
Yes.
Somebody say, raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth? And judge asked you questions?
Yes.
And you answered questions?
Correct.
Did the same thing for him?
Yes.
And they ordered him to pay the 2 months' rent?
Yes.
And then he left?
Yes.
And he's no longer living with you as of April 21st?
Correct.
Okay. What did you tell that judge that he owed you aside from rent? Is not an answer. What did you tell the judge that he owed you other than March and April's rent?
I told the judge that he owed me for the court harassment hearings.
Now, just a second. I'd like to see where you not from a book that you have.
Sorry.
Show me where you told the judge other things that you were claiming he did, including the parking fines in the development.
So this is everything that he owes me here.
I didn't ask you for everything he owes you. That's not what I asked you. I said, what did you tell the judge in the previous hearing that he owed you?
I only asked for the back rent due.
Oh, so what are you showing me?
This was for the small claims case.
Just a second. So after you went before a housing court to get him out because he hadn't paid rent. You went to small claims court.
I was just responding to a civil case that he had filed against me.
Well, his civil case is dismissed, okay?
That's what
He hasn't paid a judgment that he owes. May I see that, please?
Your Honor, he also asked the judge. Okay, he also, okay.
Just a second.
Sure.
Kevin retrieves documents from Brandon, then brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Okay. Value of the remainder of the lease. That you're not getting.
Okay.
You happy to see him go?
Yes.
Great, he's gone. Court filing fees. I may think about that because he stopped paying rent on the advice of some idiot lawyer that he followed, this man who owns a business. Sheriff's filing fees. What fees were that for? For
That's
the unlawful
to serve
detainer?
him the eviction paperwork to post it on the door.
Crisis management fees. What is that?
That was for my advice to, like, with the lawyer.
Ah, you don't get that. A valve that went over something?
Oh, his parking ticket.
Yeah, he got a parking fine when he was living there.
Oh, well, I have that. A parking fine.
Yes.
Are you responsible for that?
Yes, I already paid it. I have
All
the
right,
receipt
can I
here.
see how much was the parking fine?
The parking fine was $50.
Okay. Did you know that you got a violation, sir, Mr. Pasquarella, when you were parking?
Yes, Judge, I would love to explain that. In one of the text messages that I have, Allie, his fiance, threatened to have my car ticketed. I have been living at Canyon Lake for 3 years. I had never even came close to getting a ticket. Ironically, 2 weeks later, I get a ticket right after she threatens to have my car ticketed to the POA. Now, to my understanding, she's been in Canyon Lake for a very, very long time, since she was a little girl, and she has relationships there. I
don't know that.
well,
You can't prove any of
wasn't
that,
in
sir. You got a
either,
ticket.
So
You got a ticket. They have a picture. You have a car that the license plate is.
I also have a text message of her saying she's
Just
going
a
to get my
second.
car
I'm just
ticketed.
asking you whether that's your license plate.
Yes, it is.
Caption, coming up.
When the harassment wouldn't stop, I filed a restraining order.
Well, this is your filing against him.
So I did file one once he started getting aggressive.
What happened with those cases?
His was...
Don't speak from your chair. Do you hear me?
A woman nods. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Keith and Brandon.
Keith Pasquarello has accused his former landlord, Brandon Hubbard, of destroying his property and harassing him. Brandon is countersuing for breaching the lease and filing a false restraining order.
This is the filing fee for small claims court. That you're not getting.
Your Honor, I wouldn't have to have
Writ
any
of
of this money out
possession
of
is
pocket.
$40. Is that what you're talking about, the writ of possession?
Yes.
That you're entitled to, because he stopped paying rent. So far, he owes you $90 for the filing fee.
And then I have another receipt for no return of the POA ID card or the POA decal for his car.
What is that?
Because we live in a gated community, you have an ID card that they give you and a decal that they put on your car so you don't get tickets. Or if you
And?
do get a ticket, they know whose house to send it to. And that was $100 each, and I have a receipt for that.
Can I see what he's showing you?
And it says his name right at the top.
Brandon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Did you pay this bill?
I did.
Would you please, Kevin, show this to the plaintiff?
Kevin brings a receipt for $200 to Keith, who reviews it.
You know what that's for?
It's
your name on it.
It's a POA card. That card was thrown away in the trash. I mean, I don't have no use for it.
Then that's a problem. Then you owe him $200. That's $290. Anything else, sir?
I believe that the small claims fee is...
Forget it. I'm not giving you the small claims fee. Let's go. Let's go.
I lost another tenant due to Keith's behavior.
Let's go. Let's go.
And
let's move on. Move on.
He owes me $900 in lost rent from that other tenant.
No, he doesn't.
Because he's
I
scared.
said let's move on.
Okay.
So far, he owes you $290.
And the court harassment filing fees. They're charging me $450 to respond to a restraining order that he put forth.
Oh, just a minute. Did you file a restraining order against him?
I sure did.
Okay. And when did you file that?
I don't remember the exact date.
Do you have the date? If you don't remember the date, do you have
It was
the
January
date?
28th.
January 28th.
That was the day I was served with the paperwork. And
Of
my,
2023.
Yes. My witness was also
Just a
served
second.
with one, too.
Just a second. Here's my question, Mr. Pasquarella. You moved out in April of 2022?
23, he moved out.
23. And when did you file this harassment case against him for an order of protection?
I don't remember the exact date.
Well, can I see the papers, please?
I believe I have them here.
When the harassment wouldn't stop, I filed a restraining order.
Okay, so March 27th. That's a response. Hold on. Let's see if I have the actual filing date.
Can I see it, please?
2023.
Brandon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Here's the receipt for the 145 for the evictions process.
I can't hear a word you're saying, sir. I'm reading.
Okay.
Well, this is your filing against him.
So I did file one a month later, once he started getting aggressive.
Okay, so he filed one and you filed one. So you both bothered the courts.
Yes.
Both of you. What happened with those cases?
His was.
Don't speak from your chair. Do you hear me? What happened with those cases?
They were both dropped.
Mine was dismissed by the judge.
Were they both dismissed?
Yes, they were both dismissed.
That's the answer. You owe him, Mr. Pasquarella, $290. We are finished. Your claim is dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Keith, then Brandon.
Throwing my property away? You know, blaming me for a roach problem they already had?
He moved a little mini fridge in that apparently was roach infested.
I was done with it months ago, many months ago, but unfortunately I couldn't move. I'm in a town where, you know, I don't have any friends or family to help me. I just met my girlfriend, and I'm not going to bring this luggage on her. So
he was trying to squat for free in order to save money to move somewhere else. I don't know what he was trying to do.
I'm ready to move forward, but the thing I'm disappointed about is not even the money necessarily. It's about there's no protection for tenants.
Watch out and really understand your lease before you sign it.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, Sarah, I understand that you don't completely agree with the premise that I start from.
Sure.
If you hate where you're living and you have any capability at all, you shouldn't stay there. And then if you leave and your landlord sues you for breach of the lease because you've moved out, and if you have a legitimate reason why you moved out, that you were being harassed, that your landlord was a peeping Tom, that he would come into your house at night and go through your underwear drawers, whatever it was, and we've had all of those, then you entertain that and say you hate an absolute right to break his lease. I don't get, and the example that I always give and have given for a quarter of a century is, if you go to a restaurant and you order a sirloin steak and the waiter brings it over and you cut it and you taste it, you say, oh my God, this steak is bad. And you proceed to finish the steak, and when the bill comes, you say, it was the worst steak I ever ate, I'm not paying the bill. Not in my world. In my world, if you cut into the steak and say, you know what, I'm not eating this steak that costs $42, bring me a bowl of Cheerios for $12, that I can understand, and that's fair. But if you stay in the house and eat the steak, and there's not something that really prohibits you. I mean, if you're somebody who's challenged and you're living in a small group home, and it's not easy for you to find another facility, that's a whole different ball of wax. This is a man who says he's a CEO of a company with 20 employees. That's what he told me. And he's living in a place where he feels harassed and his girlfriend can't stay past 9 o'clock. You know, I have zero sympathy for that.
I can appreciate that. I think just the undertones, this particular situation, I may agree with you a little bit more after hearing your reasoning, but I do think it can be more challenging than you and I realize on occasion to move. I mean, that can be a big deal. And of course, he held himself out as a CEO with 20 employees in a what he said was successful business. I'm thinking that that wasn't the case, and he was a little maybe too embarrassed to state that, but that was my position. So
yeah, but that's the answer he gave.
If you have the opportunity to leave, that's what you should do. I agree with that.
And he left. And he came here with his girlfriend. Now, I don't know if they're living in the same place now, but certainly she would come to visit him. That was one of the things that he was objecting to, that you couldn't stay past 9 o'clock. Well, so you put your tushy in the car and you go to her house, which is 2 cities away. I have zero sympathy. If you ate the steak, you're supposed to pay for it.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to Judy.
ভাই আমি ডিসকর্ডে নতুন তেমন কিছু বুঝি না তো একটা নোটিফিকেশন দেখলাম তো এখানে আসলাম আইসা দেখি লাইভ করতেছেন মানে লাইভ বলতে এখানে ডিসকর্ডে স্ক্রিন